What's happening? Benton here. All right, I got my own notification, so we will assume that I'm live. I'm sure these the fine viewers will let me know if not. How is everybody? Here, let's go to me first before we go to the Yurt fellow. Oh, the mic is muted. Does that even matter? I don't know. I can't call it. I brought my... Oh, wait a minute. One moment, please. The cure for the bony backside is hard chairs here, hard wooden chairs, and if it gets chilly, we've got the hoodie. So we're all set. Wall to wall. What does that mean, EBT? Good to see you, partner. Hope you're doing well. Indeed, indeed. Oh, shit. Spilled some water in here and then went to the restroom. Failed to... Oh, I'm making water stains on the table in here. That's no bueno. Oh, well. Such is life. Uh-oh. Okay. Yellow Cake Maker. Good to see you. I know just because something about me, I must make it known who else is live. OTW News is live. We are at the public library, and I will show you why if you'd like to know. Let me show you why we're at the public library. I would prefer overall to be in my hovel. However, let's share the screen here. Yeah, zoom in, sir, zoom in. This is why we're at the library, in case you're curious. And that download is actually, I can sometimes get that on, although not here, I can sometimes get that on my 5G phone. But check out this upload. Booyah! That's why we're at the public library. Because what's happened is something that I refer to as the disability cycle of misery, in which people get a check anywhere between, the end of, say it was July. Some people actually start getting their checks at the tail end of July, their SSI, or just their Social Security. And then that seems to go like all the way through this, like the 7th of the next month, August. So what's happened is I just happened to get into the motel when, not that many people were there for whatever reason. And then, or maybe, who knows, but as they've all returned, day by day, the network has become more congested. And this area we've talked about before seems to be congested in general, but I'm assuming we're on some form of fiber optic here. Good to see you, Ginger Ridge. Morning, buds. Well, is that irony? Is what the figurative meaning is the opposite of the literal meaning? Shout out to the movie Reality Bites from the 90s for teaching me to properly understand the concept of irony in a library with books. That's right. Well, the books are in here, RT. Now, what we might do, if I can keep to my inside voice, we might get on the phone and we'll go to the religion and spirituality section, and I'll show you all the books I've read, and then I'll probably be made to appear foolish because maybe they've changed what they stock over time, right? That'd be interesting. In fact, before they banned me from the downtown Little Rock, Arkansas library, let's go back to me. Before they banned me, at one point, because there were so many homeless people in there, and I was also homeless, but I've been a library person my whole life. I like to say that growing up, I would go to the library, but then I never saw any of my friends there, and like my classmates, and if I did, it was because they had to go there, for some kind of project or paper that required reference materials. So at one point, I sort of got irritated the way I was being treated, and I went and found like 50 books off the shelves, and I just took them up to the front, and I said, I told the librarian, I said, I'm not checking this out. I just want you to know I've read all of these books cover to cover. And like a lot of them I've read in a library. So I just want y'all to know I'm not here because it's summer and I'm, seeking air conditioning and I'm going to go like nod out or fall asleep. No, I'm here to study and learn and also enjoy the air conditioning and access to restrooms. EBT, you missed last night's Thorpe and the Machine Lies mess last night. Yes, the Machine Lies, typically honorable in my experience, indeed. Thorpe's, yes, bad on purpose, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, library time with Benton. That's right. Now, I'm thinking maybe at some point I'll set up a camera as like a second webcam, and then I'll let you folks actually. Maybe I'll prop it up on the. If there's enough of a ledge over there, you guys and gals can see what's going on back there, maybe. And then I can watch my six. Right? There's not a. I'm historically I'm one of those males that always takes the gunfighter position. Like if I'm going into a room and selecting my seat, it's almost always based on if somebody were to come through the door, can I get the drop on them? And it just comes naturally. So I don't really like that there's going to be people behind me. Portland, Maine. Yeah, didn't get to. I've only been to Portland in a truck. Portland, Maine, that is. Yeah, bad on purpose. Indeed, Yellow Cake Maker, indeed. There you go. That's right. I like it. It works on many levels, Ginger Ridge says. Well, I could be talking about cannabis or friendly people. Buds is a decent word. That's right. I could go either way, huh? I likes that. I'm going to StreamYard and make sure I got my setting. I think I'm good on my settings. I got to be right. Oh, man. Library with books. Good to see you, Dow, by the way. Not that Dow said that, but I missed Dow in the roll call. Rob, what's happening, partner? My apologies. You were in first, and I missed you. I thought Dow was here. Am I tripping? Oh, there he is. Yeah, library time with Benton. See, you see what's going on in here. It's a little foggy. It's a little foggy, perhaps, at times. So thank you for your patience. All right, I felt like the Yurt fella really nailed it. And in fact, I wasn't even able to finish what he was talking about. I wasn't able to finish listening. And I missed the live. I got lost in my own sauce. And it seems like scheduling is becoming an issue, so I'm checking. It is one of my favorite channels. The original In the Yurt with Books channel. His early live streams was me and probably JG and like one other person. So thanks. Thanks, Yellow Cake Maker. Yeah, in Dystopia I Brewed, and in fact, this is gonna tie in with what the Yurt fellow's talking about in his discourse, and I do enjoy his monologues and discourses. This is perhaps my favorite Yurt, keeping it tight and concise and getting in there and hitting his points. And the video's 17 minutes long, so presumably But yeah, I started hearing things that I needed to respond to, so I figured I would wait for the broadcast. So. And this is 1.5x. So let's go to the Yurt. Let's go to Mr. Austin. Let's call him proper. Let's refer to him properly. Okay, share the screen, sir. Click the buttons, old man. There we go. And I'm doing it this way. I'm making the screen appear that way. I want to be able to see the live chat replay there. So we're rocking with it. I guess I could pop the chat out. Yeah, man, he was indeed. Indeed. My mouse is not operating properly. Something's wrong with the mouse here. Hang on, let's see. I think it's the color. Sometimes it's the color of the surface, but it's been acting strange. Oh, my company paid me today money I was not expecting, so I may just have to go get a new keyboard and mouse. This is not working for me. This thing's been acting up all morning. Yeah, here we go. What is wrong? I got this cheap-ass mini PC off of Amazon, and this has got to be the battery. Why did I not bring extra batteries? Wireless. I'm just going to get wired. This is crazy. Man, it can't be. Yeah, no kidding. Good gracious, at one time. So I was like, what is this guy doing with the foggy glasses? Oh, well, I got paid. I got like $500 I wasn't expecting today, so. I guess if I was really fishing for donos, though, I wouldn't be divulging that, right? But I think that's going to be a set of tires and an alignment's going to eat most of that up, but still freeing up some other money. And then pretty soon, EBT, I'm pretty sure we're going new clutch. Of course, bleed the brake system. Probably going to get a coolant flush, brakes. Everything in the car is in good working order overall. I mean, these are all maintenance items for the most part, right? The car is not in a state of disrepair, so looking forward to that in the near future. It's at in a thought experiment. So here we go. And it's 17 minutes long, but it takes him a minute to get going. So I may fast forward through some of this, and let me know if for some reason there's no audio because we've had some issues here and there with the audio. So here we go.
Didn't even think about it too much. Didn't even think about it. Just click that shit. So I only got like 10 minutes. This is going to be a super quick one. And I wasn't even going to go because I got to get out of here by 7:30. So I got about exactly 15 minutes. And I wasn't even going to go. MLK. MLK also program, not MLK programming.
Yep.
Maybe those are just people. So why was I going to go? I wasn't going to go.
Wowie.
I have to go in 15 minutes. Years and years of arduous labor she put into this to save all of mankind. I almost said humankind, and then I decided to go for mankind because I don't really give a fuck. And we should say mankind because man at one time meant everybody, man and woman.
It did. That's true.
We had to change it.
It used to.
Human, right? But anyway, so she fails
Human.
at this thing. She realized all of fate is, history is doomed, humanity is doomed, and it's all over, and we're all fucked. And she thinks back on all that work, and she's starting to be a little bitch about all that. And I see it in the doomers. I see it in the talking heads. I see how many of these people out here, the Steven Crowders, Alex Jones, who else, man? The list could go on, right? Many of us try to emulate these behaviors or see ourselves as the next one and all the talking.
Well, and at the risk of pausing way too frequently, Yellow Cake Maker says I was already subbed but did not get notified at all recently. What I would recommend, and this is what I do when I first go to YouTube every day, because of course I'm very nearly hopelessly addicted, not to the internet. I had an internet addiction, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, but YouTube addiction seems to be a real thing at this point. But what I do is I go on my subscriptions feed, and then anything I'm subscribed to that's going to be a premiere or a live stream in the near future, there's a notify me button, and I click all of those. So that certainly helps, because what will happen is if you don't watch, I think what happens is the algorithm decides if you're not engaging with his material enough over time, and then it just will stop sending the notifications. Seems to be how it works from what I can tell. I mean, who knows, but let's go.
All the propaganda, all the demagoguery, all the ideologues, pile them all up, and nothing has been accomplished. Nothing has been solved. None of the main issues facing us, every day, ever-present issues. We could pull up the news. We could pull up, the thread. Every day, nothing is done. But super smart people out here, right? All the gurus, all the new age intellectuals.
Well, and, at the risk of sort of cutting his point off here, I believe most of you folks will understand where he was going with that. And this brings it back to a point that I've made frequently or regularly, that clearly none of these issues that, if one is willing to accept that based on, existing within society necessarily, that these issues, at a collective level, these issues are not a result of intellect or lack thereof. They're not going to be solved by intellect, in my view. That's an opinion, right? We all know what those are worth.
Influencers, the media stars who can tell you 100 ways to skin a cat, and there's videos for it. I mean, I discovered the same thing, my own experiences. I tried to, think about potential social media things I might create on here, filming my badass.
Well, and at the risk of offending Yellow Cake Maker, she said, yeah, I usually do too when it pops up. Just ain't seen him for a while. That's what I'm saying. It's my point is the algorithm has decided that you're not properly engaging with his content, and it's now sending you content that it believes, and this is my opinion, this is my view of it, that the algorithm is sending you feeds and notifications for material or content that it believes or predicts that you will engage with more, right? That's my view. So again, not giving advice, just this is what Benton does. I go to my subscriptions, and everything that says notify me, I click it. And then when I get the notification, if I don't want to watch it, I just don't watch it. But at least that way I am notified, right? So that's something one can do to improve that, that hit ratio, right?
Ass bus, which is a badass bus, and those adventures. But then I look through the hundreds of pages of people that have already done that. So failures, what do we do with failure? The world seems to be failing around us. Models of reality seem to be failing. Depends on who you ask, of course, and their, hubris, and then their willingness to be open and honest and direct, and all that comes into play, whether or not we're grifting for whatever. But thinking about this failures, I was thinking about a failure I had last night. I was trying to do some gears on a bike. I had a great work evening, worked well into the evening, and about 7 o'clock, I started trying to fix these gear shifter on one of my boys' bikes so that we can get back on the road biking. And I don't think see, here's the first thing about failure. Failure at first appears and is a liar. and portends total failure. So this sucker ass society fails basically, obviously, and simply, and then calls that the failure. But really, that was just a learning moment. It was just really the first step. You just gave up like a bitch. So I felt, I was going through that phase last night with this bike handle. By the end, where I didn't really get it going, it seemed like a failure. But then, as I reflected and digested the moment, as always, I know it's not. But so I started at about 7, running these new shifter cable lines, and I, just mistake after mistake, just goofiness. I didn't do all the basic things that I know to do, like when you.
Well, and Yellow Cake Maker, that's, as far as the algorithm, now she's saying she always gets Paul Enslaved notifications, but doesn't watch. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just an old man trying to figure out a newfangled algorithm that may very well be based on AI, if that's even a thing.
Take that little piece off the other piece. Take a picture of the orientation and how it was when the thing came apart. And stuff like that. There were little pieces, and I was losing them, and just sort of my mise en scène, or whatever it's called, all the things in their place, whatever that term is. I was just clumsy and messy in all this. Made a mistake, had to redo it, picked the wrong wire. I mean, I could just catalog our failures like people do. And failure is this thing, and I've talked about this before. I'm not really comfortable necessarily always failing. That ego trip gets people in trouble in their failures. And I think most people make 1 or 2 failures in that 18 to 30 range, and then it's just essentially fallout from what they perceive as a failure. And that's really the sucker shit. And people don't understand that. And so watch the absolutism. Watch the demigods as they peddle their absolutism and their histrionics. When did humans get so histrionic?
Well, and see, as much as I, sometimes flex my vocabulary, I've heard this term, I can spell it, but I want to make sure, and I think I know what it means, but let's go Professor Benton. I don't do this too much, but let's go histrionic definition, if we may. Overly theatrical. Well, this certainly applies to yours truly in many regards. It's like I've never really been the stoic type, although I am able to get in that space at times. Histrionic, overly theatrical or melodramatic in character or style. Then we also have, that's the first definition, which is an adjective. The second adjective definition being of or concerning actors or acting. Then we have the noun form, which would be number 1, exaggerated dramatic behavior designed to attract attention. Well, I pretty much was born into that, it seems. Now, where does that come from? And then the archaic term would be dramatic performance or theater. Okay, well, back to your.
But that's what the mob wants. Let me say what up to the chat. We're only here. I got like 5. What's up, Rod?
His perception of time is
not
that accurate.
Yeah, everything in their place, right? I had the clippers here and the new wires here and then a bundle of wires I should have put away. All just a failure. And those life mistakes we made.
At least in this regard.
And I think it gets twisted. I think about being, a young man, 17, 18 years old. I think it gets twisted where we feel that imprint of failure so strongly.
Well, see, Ginger Ridge here, and apologies. This is just, anytime I play content, I'm going to pause repeatedly. I know it's got to be annoying to some people, but it is what it is. And appreciate y'all for rocking with me today. I don't even know how many are in the house. I'm getting to where I really don't even care, realistically. Or, well, I should say I'm unconcerned. It's been months and months and months of things working out with respect to the audience. So why am I so obsessed with the numbers, right? But Ginger Ridge, and giving something that I'd have to write 10 pages to try to describe all of this. But Ginger Ridge, embracing the paradox of full doom. I do like that term, paradox. So now we're going to have to look that up. Embracing the paradox of full doom with a head of PMA, meaning positive mental attitude, is somehow this mind state I live in. And I believe that's where I'm generally at as well, although not always. Sometimes I fall away from that, but paradox. And this is what I mean, and nothing against Ginger Ridge. I think spell check has destroyed most of our abilities to spell, mine included. And I was astonished I was actually able to spell disingenuous correctly on the first try recently. But yeah, paradox, Paradox. I only point that out for people that might want to look it up. Although the Google will correct you, right? If you just get close enough, and it'll decide that it knows what you meant. Paradox is a seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement or proposition that, when investigated or explained, may prove to be well-founded or true. Then we have a situation, person, or thing that combines contradictory features or qualities. And I'm going to resist taking it into the TBE realm, although I certainly would have things to say with respect to that, paradoxes and certain statements made about yours truly. A statement, it also means a statement or proposition that, despite sound or apparently sound reasoning from acceptable premises, leads to a conclusion that seems senseless, logically unacceptable, right, or self-contradictory, which brings us down to so many people having such a strong desire for resolution. Meanwhile, why assume that that's a thing that's going to happen across the board? Like, what's that based on? That seems like a false premise potentially, or it's at least, I would say it's a false premise until one is able to affirm that it is indeed the case, and otherwise it negates itself. I'm not even sure I'm making sense. But back to your
that we actually rush to more unique and more grandiose ways to fail as a young person. We say it's that rebel without a cause, and we're going to play chicken on the side of a cliff.
And Yurt, by the way, hitting the seems to be hitting the lower registers of his voice. So this is 1.5x, I believe. Yeah. Good on you, Yurt.
And see who turns first. We're going to compete to see who can be the biggest
fucking Gary?
Failure of all. Yeah, God bless you, Miss Up. You have a good day too, man. We're talking about failures. And so patterns of behavior that lead to failure get us to start thinking that failure is going to occur everywhere.
Sterling Ray, good to see you.
Start thinking that failures are going to occur everywhere, that there's a failure right around the corner. And I realized I was thinking about failure. I was meditating on failure yesterday. I realized a bunch of things about it and solutions to it. Most failures are failures in thought, not failures in reality. So I had the realization that there's a bunch of things in Homestead stuff that I'm sort of overlooking or self-deluding, lying to myself about. And that if I just accepted reality as what it was, accepted the things on the ground literally as they were, and started dealing with them, even if it was more difficult, even if it's the most roundabout way or whatever, that's what I needed to do, that it was this relationship to failure which was clouding my ability to succeed. A lot on these YouTube streets, the whole fucking thing, we gave it all up, man. Can you imagine the failure of what we've done on?
Well, and I love this, the idea that we've given it all up, and I really like the way that he verbalizes this. If I didn't pause and ruin it, maybe that would be much better. So also, let's drop Yurt's links. I'll go ahead and do that. And I'm a step ahead of the mods because they had no way of knowing that I was, in fact, about to call for that. So in a thought. They might beat me to it, though. You never know. Any thought experiment broadcast from today. Bam. There you go.
Social media. We gave up summer nights and dancing and music and fiestas and sort of people that you actually love and are want to be involved with, and we put it all on this thing and took pictures of it.
Bam. And if I had, I need to get me a soundboard because that's a bomb drop. And he's right. You know, I was perhaps the last generation, Gen X, to be able to grow up as a youth and have the summer nights and all of the things that he just spoke on. And he's right about now seemingly everyone, taking pictures of the summer night versus actually going out and experiencing it directly.
And then we created moving
unfiltered, unadulterated
characters and these demagogues and these talking heads. So the thing that was supposed to give you a voice was actually a failure because it actually galvanized and put all the voice onto just a small selected group of people. So you no longer have a voice. You're even more just a faceless, sort of personless, amorphous blob creature called the audience.
Another bomb, by the way.
The audience. So yeah, there's failures everywhere. That's what I'm saying. We see so many failures that it's like, oh, I should catastrophize. I should become an even greater.
Well, see, and when he says I should catastrophize, now I feel like he's talking to me. Now, I do this for my own purposes. It's a cope for me, right? But it seems to be an effective cope. Now, maybe I'm mistaken, and I'm probably overly internalizing here, but certainly this speaks to me once we get into doom and catastrophe.
Greater failure, right? The race to the bottom. I will become an even greater failure than the failures I see in the world, and then this.
And real quick, mods, any talk of religion as far as anything dogmatic or, anything that's just a direct religious topic, immediate time out, please. 5-minute timeouts for anybody who's addressing religion especially in a dogmatic context, if you know what that is. Do I now have to drop the meaning of the word dogma? I guess I do, more for my own purposes. So I need to make sure I'm using the proper terms. Dogma being a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as incontrovertibly true. Meanwhile, Toilet Bowl Earth and a lot of those folks have pushed back on me when I've referred to their dogmatism, if that's a correct term. But that's exactly what's happening. A principle or set of principles laid down by an authority, meaning the church, as incontrovertibly true, it cannot be questioned. We're not doing that here. Have we done that some in the past? Yeah, we are. It's a brand new day. It's the dawn of a new age. I think, is it not the new moon? Are we hitting the new moon here? Am I timing with the moon? Let me look. And typically I would avoid that, right? But I found it to be, the full moon signifying completion, the new moon, supposedly like the best time to start a new page. Presumably, moon cycles. I think we might be on a new moon here potentially. Yep, new moon. So the religious. Now I will refer to religion in certain ways to make specific points at times. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying we're done with the Christianity. We're done with the Mary. The Mary is this and Jesus that. We're done with all of that. It's a wrap on that. So mods, 5-minute timeouts for. And now, if somebody's making a larger point and referring to religion, that's fine. I'm saying just immediately go into dogmatic religious topics. We're not having that. And anybody wants to call me a communist, anybody wants to say I don't love free speech or whatever, that's not my concern. That's your problem, partner. I'm not concerned with how that comes across. It is what it is. Anybody don't like it, there's the door. Come back when you feel like you can participate in a more amenable way with the folks who are here every day, right? So not telling anybody what to do, just saying, other than the mods and the timeouts, we're not having it. We're over it. We're done with it. No thanks. Take that shit elsewhere, partner. It ain't welcome here. Yeah. Indeed, RT in the house. And then we have Dow, of course. Crumley. Shout out to Crumley. Yep. So that's where we're at. We're not. This is not AM radio tuning into the preacher time, and we're gonna get into a sermon, an extended sermon, and talk about what was it, dogma, and we're not going to talk about the principles laid down by a supposed authority as incontrovertibly true. We're not doing that. And I'm firmly aware, by the way, just since now I'm on the topic, I do represent the Protestant in some way with these people. You got an Orthodox and you got a Catholic. And Benton, here's Benton, in some way representing the Protestant. Of course they come after me, right? Meanwhile, I ain't a Christian, never claimed to be, never been baptized. Thought I might be baptized at one time. That ain't going to happen. No sirree, Bob. Nope. And I got skin in the game. I'm willing to face my maker, if that's a thing, and we're not talking that way no more. See, I have to discipline myself here, see, because I like to go there at times. Anyway, back to Mr. Yurt. Thank you for your patience in putting up with my intolerance in this regard. But then again, what do they say? You get what you give. So I'm astonished. Thank you, Yellow Cake Maker. This is not your local. And see, that was I talked about on the live stream this morning. I have no attraction to religious debate. Never have. Don't want to watch them. Not interested. But yeah, it gets old. But then there's for people who want that. There's places to go. This ain't it. Yeah, Reformation Benton indeed. But I don't want nothing to do with it. Increasingly, I'm realizing that I want nothing to do with any of this. And everybody do what they want. I believe in freedom. Go for it. Leave me out of it. Like damn near everything else.
This will sort of help me, right? This will be the balm, the psychological
Good to see you, Roy.
I rub on my head. Because I'm a failure, right? I'm just banging my head off the wall in a reality that seems beyond my control. But it's not beyond your control. You're just fucking lazy. You're just lazy.
Well, and sorry, yes, exactly, lazy. But since I'm on the topic, I'm not even really going to pay attention to what the mods are doing. Anybody that feels like they were moderated, unfairly or inappropriately, they're going to have to email me because I can't do a broadcast and watch what the mods are doing. So that's all I can say. The email is on the description of almost every one of these videos. So I'm trusting them to take care of it. I got to do my thing. I got to stay in my flow, or at least get in my flow. So anybody that feels like they've been dealt with unfairly is going to have to email me. And that's no guarantee that that's going to get us anywhere. What's up, Piso? Good to see you.
And probably immoral, but then the philosopher tick kicks in, right? Ooh, there's that waspy cracker man's burden, right? Priest morality. See, priest morality loves that failure. People didn't get that with that. How many of the
well, and real quick, Gary, you can email it to me.
Have you read?
Shit, what the hell's going on? Oh, I accidentally hit the enter button. You can email it to me if you want. The chances of me watching it are pretty low, but there was a time in which I was more attracted to that material. But it would be good to have just in case it ever comes up. So please do. I'm just fair warning. I'm probably not going to watch it, and it's amazing. I don't even have a job at this point, and I'm just busy all day. Yesterday, just all day long. I was on the go all freaking day long, which I enjoy on some level, and I expect that to continue. But anyway, I just want to let you know that on the front end. But yeah, anything y'all think I might need access to, please email it to me. Pretty please, much appreciated. All right, we're backing up.
You're just lazy and probably immoral, but then the philosopher tick kicks in, right? Ooh, there's that waspy cracker man's burden.
Cracker man's burden.
Morality. See, priest morality loves that failure. People didn't get that with that. How many of the sutras have you read? I don't think people necessarily caught that, right? They love the failure. Whew. Failure. They love because they love shame. Shame. Watch the shame peddlers. Watch the people who peddle in shame, the weavers of shame. They're people that can weave at their own shame, to your shame, to our shame, right? It's a dance. Steve says, all my failures as a degenerate junkie always remind me of a life I'll never return to. Lots of lessons learned from lots of failures led to positive changes and success I experience now. Exactly.
And
what if we can just stare right into those failures and see them clear? But are you too lazy to go back and do it right? On these bike things, to keep it very literal, I got to go back. I got to pull the whole wire out. I got to take a nut up. I got to do all this. But the work is actually just in your mind. Because the more you work on a particular machine or a bike or with tools, you figure out the little tricks that you need in your research and your journey. But it's the weight of your mind, of the failure, of the shame of failure. It's like a wall right there. And that's really...
Now, see, I don't really have this for the most part. I'm afflicted with other things, but I can certainly relate to what he's saying here.
Really, the hard work, that's what makes you lazy, is the MK Ultra rigmarole that your mind has been pressed in with our collective failures. So much so that we can't even talk in collective terms.
Exactly. And see, I do like the idea of a collective unconscious or a collective consciousness, because I was actually ruminating on some of these ideas this morning, but in a different form, right? In a slightly different form. It's amazing how that happens. Let me back this up because I've already forgotten what I resonated with.
I do all this, but the work is actually just in your mind.
Well, and P.So says this broadcast was over my head. Well, that's where old Benton is very useful, because Yurt was blessed / cursed with something of a high IQ, although he might argue with that, but it's certainly considerably higher than mine. So this is where Benton can be of a help with his very pedestrian IQ. Perhaps I can take some of this in and add my own little spices to it and regurgitate it to mix my metaphors in a way in which could be more easily digested. Is that like 3 different metaphors?
Because the more you work on a particular machine or a bike or with tools, you figure out the little tricks that you need in your research and your journey. But it's the weight of your mind, of the failure, of the shame of failure. It's like a wall right there. And that's really the hard work.
And I think what he's talking about is, I believe he's connecting the laziness to the fear of failure, and then so the person not actually beginning the task. I think that's what he's talking about, but I might be wrong.
That's what makes you lazy, is the MK.
That's what makes you lazy, exactly.
Ultra rigmarole.
Not you, the listener. That's what makes one lazy.
That your mind has been pressed in with our collective failures. So much so that we can't even talk in collective terms.
We can't talk in collective terms, exactly. We, again, I must be specific when I say we, if we're talking about these loosely affiliated niche groups of a so-called truth community. So what I had going on in my mind is like, why are all of these figures unable in these so-called truth communities to come together collectively? And since I'm old, I think about this as like form like Voltron from the cartoon, right? What is preventing that? And I believe Yurt here is addressing at least some of those factors.
right? We create terms like that sheeple normie, these designations to say, well, I'm not a failure like those people.
Aha, yes. A rationalizing one's own um, ineffectiveness, but there's another word. Um, see, this is what I'm talking about with my mind nowadays. Rationalizing one's own. Uh, uh, it's ineffectual is the word, but I'm not able to properly use it in a sentence right now. But yeah, a person in a state, existing in a state where they, in the real world, are ineffectual, right? And let's do ineffectual since we're on the. Now I'm the word. I'm the word wizard now. Of course, if I was, I'd have to go to the archaic definition. Ineffectual meaning not producing any or the desired effect, and this is what he started out talking about. Was it's to no effect with respect to the problems plaguing society, in which we see things like I read an article. Well, I didn't read an article. I skimmed an article this morning about how, according to the official fiction narrative, self-deletion at an all-time high, right? And then we also have of a person lacking the ability or qualities to cope with a role or situation. And I see it all the time, everywhere I look.
But of course, we know different, right? Because how much can we accomplish? I got 2 minutes left. I'm out here, and I'll leave on this question. How much can we accomplish? I mean,
he came pretty close
we're beyond
to 2
the realm
minutes.
in a lot of ways of even talking about, setting the bar too low. The bar's not even off the fucking ground.
Well, and when he says the bar's not even off the ground, and then he talks about people, coming together collectively. Well, what is that? That's the crabs in a bucket. That's snafu snaps. Trying to make sure we all stay down at the bottom. See, the bottom of the bucket.
The bar is not even off the ground. Can we dust the bar off? Can we start there? Can we maybe dust it off and maybe look at the rack we were going to set it on and sort of assess where we're at? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that today. And a couple of ideas I came away with yesterday as I was reflecting on this is set actual time parameters for the issues that you have in your life. And I'm talking like super technical things, right? Like I've been this mower, my mowers I've described here. I keep having small issues, and they're maintenance issues.
Well, and that's a different issue entirely, Gary, and we can get into that. But that's an astute point. Gary says, "Whatever happened to if at first you don't succeed, try again." Well, I can't speak for Yurt, but I suspect that what he's talking about is that the person. Well, I don't even want to get into it. We'll have to ask him about that. Actually, I don't want to derail my own self here, but yeah, I believe that to be a separate topic, which I would certainly hope to get into at some point, Gary. But well put, because that's certainly tangentially connected to what we're saying. I part of my mind loves to go on these tangents, and I'm just not able to do so right now.
The bell thing, the deck thing, and then it was a battery thing. And I realized, man, I've been dealing with this fucking mower for weeks.
Well, and here is RT, I believe. This may be what we're talking about, Gary, which is RT says, over the years, I have developed an ability on certain tasks to take a not perfect but close enough stance. Exactly. And since I have this, I tend to suffer in the past, in my less evolved state, from like a paralysis by analysis. I didn't have a lot of fear around trying and failing, right? August 12th Leo, courage never been a problem, right? And then I was desensitized to appearing bizarre or strange to the people around me from an early age, right? And I am bizarre and strange in many ways. But yeah, my own, desire to make the thing perfect. But I've trained myself over the years, and sometimes it's a detriment. But like, if I need to make a purchase, or I need to have the car repaired, or if there's some kind of topic I'm wading into that I know almost nothing about, so car repair might be a poor example, but if there's a topic I know I'm effective in the real world, well, part of that is I tend to learn everything possible first, which ends up actually as a hindrance in many ways. So now, the more strategies I can develop for taking in just what I need to know and then making an educated guess that if it meets 85% of what I need out of the thing, I can accept that versus I have to have 100% perfection, which is, even a person who might be as undiagnosed autistic as myself to occasionally achieve that, it's really not that extra 15% does not add that. It doesn't add 15% of value in my experience.
But had that first week when
What's
I
up,
got back
Sophia?
and the mower was not working, had I said by the end of this week, this mower is going to be functional 100%, it would have got done. So put time limits.
Me and Casey Affleck and Sophia Burns' brother share the same birthday, apparently. And Del the Funky Homo Sapien. Del the Funky Homo Sapien, one of my favorite rappers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Watch it clap. That's the thing. The bar isn't even off the ground. We can't even go under it anymore. That's kind of what the counterculture does. That's what trutherism was supposed to be. It's going under the bar. No, dude. The bar is so fucking low, Steven. The bar is so fucking low. We can't even sneak under it in creative ways. It's like it's not even just dusted. It got welded to the ground. And we're stuck there in the fucking sunken place. No, there's no going under. We're going to have to get the angle grinder out, cut that fucking bar off from the ground. We're going to have to rebuild a system of principles and ideals, and we're going to have to set that. And it's not going to happen on this fucking
Nice,
computer.
Dal.
And I'm out. Hold on. Was there any other lesson? Set an actual time, an actual parameter for the thing you need to accomplish. Stop lying to yourself about the failures. Stop being such a little, I was going to say bitch, but even the way we use our language, right, is a failure. Stop being so broken in your failure, man. The failures are good. Every time you fail,
they're good if you learn from them.
You feel like neutering. You feel like your soul going inward.
Well, by the way, when he talks about, what he's talking about, if a person is actually able to accept the failure, that's humility on some level, isn't it?
Man, expand out into the failure. And I'm going to go do that right now. Everybody have a good day. Do something novel on a Friday, man. Your time is short. Your time is short. Death hunts us all. We don't know. The days when things are think about the real failures. Like that book I started off with the offset where it realized all humanity is fucked. That whatever, it's a climate crisis in the book, but the real shit. And not to give into fear, but just to accept those things do happen. I got cousins that never woke up. I got people that ice themselves. I got the good people that die from the brain tumors. We all got that in our lives, right? Brothers and sisters that were hit by fucking buses or.
Well, I don't.
That got their fucking heads bashed in. We know these stories, so we know death hunts us all.
Yep.
Let's fucking do something. I'm out of here. Have a good day, guys. Thank you for listening to that, humoring that.
Oh, good stuff, brother. Good stuff, brother. Let's go back to me now. Crumley, Yurt is right on that. The damn bar is below ground level, and these folks seem to want it farther. Of course. Because it's one thing to exist in a state of abject failure versus, and I do resonate with this idea of a race to the bottom, meaning, I myself, in choosing to live in the streets with nothing for so long, in some way that was me intentionally allowing myself to go down to that level, but in order to build back up, strategically. But yeah, the damn bar is below ground level. Yeah. And that's, it is a coping mechanism in many ways, a way for one to rationalize and cope with the shame that can potentially rear its ugly head as a result of one's own ineffectiveness. Or, in a state of where one is ineffectual, right? Death knows your name, indeed, Ginger Ridge. Indeed, sir. And I don't want to say too much more about that, but thank you for the happy early birthdays. I'm already 48 in my mind. I have been for a few months here now. So, and then by the way, we didn't have birthdays growing up, which is, I don't think it bothered me that I didn't have a birthday necessarily, but. Yeah, I mean, I feel good on my birthday. I'm like, yeah, but it's all about me every day, right? As it should be. Oh, okay. Oops. Well, I missed something there. I'm not even gonna try to wade into with respect to the live chat. Well, where are we at here? We are. How long's this thing been going? 25. Shout out to 25 in the house. How long we've been streaming? Yeah, 45 minutes. All right, that's a good place to just kind of relax and sort of sit back and drop a link. I actually meant to post the link earlier. I guess I'm glad I did not, because then I was able to cover that material. So let's drop a link. There it is. I guess I'm the only one that can pin links, or I've still never completely figured that out. So, error. Please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. What does that even mean? Oh, it causes buffering. I don't know what that means. Keyframe frequency. Stream status poor. Am I coming through? Can y'all hear me? What the fuck is this? See, I don't know enough about YouTube. What the hell's a... I guess I could Google it, but what in the world is a keyframe frequency of 4 or less? I don't think there's anything I can do about that. Huh. Edit? Will that do anything? Bizarre. Maybe a smart person will be able to tell me. Never seen that. Never have seen that. Huh. Okay, thanks, Rob. Yeah, that's what I thought. But anyway, here we go. Pinning in the comments. Whatever that error is, I could probably fix it, but not until I stop the stream. So I guess we're stuck with it. Let me know if we're buffering a lot, because I'm on freaking the best internet I've probably been on ever for an upload. So there's no reason to have a poor quality stream. Who knows what they got going on over there. But yeah, and we're not necessarily clamoring for guests at this point, but I might be more open to an actual panel today. I do like to kind of lay back in the cut sometimes, so especially now that I'm on OBS, and if I need to, I can comment over the top of everything. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, as long as I'll work that out later. Let me take a screenshot of that, actually. Take a screenshot here. If my mouse will cooperate, maybe I can remember to address that later. I'm just techie enough to, figure this stuff out in the long run. All right, let's get off of that. Close some of these windows. And I got some content I wanted to play from actually my favorite YouTube channel, I have to say. Caleb Hammer, this guy that does these financial audits. And they had one recently that was just off the friggin' charts, man. Let me see. Let me promote his channel. And he's got a quickly growing channel also. And it's as I fight with the... actually, I'm starting to think this is a problem with the USB, the actual USB on the computer. I got so much stuff plugged in, and I think I'm going to have to get an external, like a USB hub that plugs in. So I should not be experiencing some of these issues. Anyway, let's see. Mr. Hammer's channel, Caleb Hammer. And it's at Caleb Hammer. And he, like I say, he does these financial audits. I know some of you will remember that I've covered some of this material at times. And he's had the most delusional, what would this be called? It's a mess. This person is a mess. And in fact, this is a follow-up. This young black gal was on before, and it was a bit of a shit show. And she actually managed to fuck off for probably, 6 months, and then came back, and it was even worse. Right on, Rob. Yeah, this is literally my favorite channel. Which, some of these channels, it's funny. These ones that go by a formula. All of his videos are pretty much the same thing for the most part. It's a formula. Like that Mr. Ballin, I used to like that. It's a formula. It's the same thing over and over. And then what I found is I will enjoy those channels, and then eventually I'm just done with them. So I'm assuming I'll be done with this at some point. But I do find it fascinating, especially the the economic tie-ins. So we're going to go to this one. And he does, YouTube is a clickbait platform, and this has 367,000 views. And here's a sign of a good channel, by the way. He's only got 643K subscribers, which that's like doubled in the last, 2 months probably, just going on memory. But see, like this one from 2 days ago, 196K views on, that many subs. That's pretty good, man. But yeah, it's a clickbait platform. He brings the clickbait, but the I give up on you and I'm done financial audit, which he does seem to be sticking to towards the end. If I spoil,
My name is Tyler Lauren. I'm 24 years.
Let me spoil the entire broadcast, right? Spoilers. And remind me to transfer the content, but y'all know me, I'll be pausing anyway. So, yeah, financial audits. Yeah, well, it's sitting somebody down and confronting them on the basis of their lack of control of their, not being able to control their own personal spending is what it is. But it's done under the auspices of a so-called financial audit, right?
Years old, and I'm based in Austin, Texas, and this is Financial Audit.
Okay, so this is a follow-up episode. You don't have to see the other follow-up episodes too. This is just gonna be like any other audit, but this is your third time coming back. The second time was quite upsetting because you didn't make any.
Oh, I didn't even know it was 3. Huh, I'm going to have to go back and watch the first 2. I didn't even realize that.
Progress. Now, I've purposely not looked at a single thing. In fact, we literally just printed this, so who knows.
Well, what are we talking about? I mean, you can talk about whatever you want as long as it's not that thing I told, as long as I haven't specifically said we're going to do timeouts and bans for. What happened with Amagansett Press? I hope you know that, in fact, the famous... if Yellow Cake Maker may not know, I had a big blow-up argument, well, to some extent, with Sly Shy back in the day, and it was specifically because she was unwilling to accept that Amagansett absolutely goes out and intentionally does things to provoke reactions from individuals for content, which I'm not saying is wrong. Her point of view was that these people are doing these things to try to make society better and to help all of us, and I'm like, no, they're doing it for money and clicks and views, and that's perfectly fine. That's in, and she seemed to not be willing. But I don't want to speak for Sly Shy. In fact, we may go back and watch that at a certain point. And it is an example of Benton's mean side. Benton being mean and nasty for almost no reason. So I don't know. That did not come off good. But she was just straight up wrong in my view. Like you can watch. I can show you an Amagansett Press video, and I believe anybody. If you hear what I say while I play the breakdown, I believe any reasonable person will be convinced that clearly Amagansett Press is behaving in specific ways to elicit a reaction. And what I said was that's completely fine. If these people are dumb enough to get trolled by him in public, that's great. Like, I have no problem with that. And if he makes money, more power to him. But his intention is not, in my view, this is my opinion. And even if he started out that way, it's not happening anymore. Yeah, exactly. Okay, just as long as we're on the same page. And I like some of the auditors. And not that I dislike Amagansett Press. It's just not something I watch anymore. I used to watch some of his videos. Yeah, don't judge me. I'm a woman. Don't judge me. That's right. Outraged about your Red Bull and cigarettes expenditures. Indeed, indeed. Oh, the money I've wasted just in the last couple of months. Believe me, I could give any of you a run for your money.
Knows what order it's in because you also just sent it. But I don't know what's up with anything, but I really hope you improve because I've laid out a plan for you once, and I'd say it potentially even got worse. And then we laid out a plan for you again to just slightly improve your life and try to get your life into a better position. I hope you did that. Have you tried to improve your life at all? Financially speaking, of course.
No.
Why? Why possibly?
And I've watched this. I didn't realize that she actually truthfully answered the question, that she's not put out any effort. That's interesting. I missed that part.
So I started a new job, and I was working at a restaurant, and unfortunately, I got fired yesterday. It was very upsetting.
Yesterday?
Yesterday. But I am doing side hustles.
Sorry.
I am doing side hustles, and I'm going to obviously look for another position. It was a really good.
Why were you fired? Because fired is fired.
So, like, downtown is very. It's just really hard to park. It's really hard to find parking.
Not really, but go ahead.
Well, just that area they make it really hard for you to park.
And by the way, as one who has parked a big rig downtown Austin, although that was on a Sunday, I legally parked a big rig on the street in Austin. I have parked there in a personal vehicle, a car, enough that, yeah, it can cost some money if one doesn't want to walk a long way, but it's not difficult to park in downtown Austin. It's just not.
They don't, but go ahead.
It's like $40.
Okay, it costs money, but it's not hard to park because there's like a billion parking lots or parking garages. I've never had issue finding places to park, but yes, it's expensive. Go ahead.
Right. I refuse to pay $40 a day just to go to work. That's
not
ridiculous.
$40 a day.
Okay.
And so they fired me because I was late a few times, like around like maybe 5-10 minutes late twice. And then I had a little personal breakdown one day, and
Oh, it's worse than that, but I don't want to spoil the fun. But yes, that's part of it. She was not able to show up on time, but actually she took that and made it worse somehow, and it'll all come out in the stew here.
Had an unexcused absence, and then the last one.
And tell them something was happening, like you could have said, like we're sick or something. And I know that's hard during a breakdown situation if it's a mental health crisis, but
right. I told them the day of, so they didn't. They still account that as unexcused.
Okay. So they fired. Did you explain the parking thing?
Yes, I explained the parking.
What did everyone else do that you worked with? Because obviously everyone else had to deal with what you were dealing with.
I honestly didn't ask them, but so the last straw. So I arrived. I clocked in at 5, so I won't be late. And I ended up going to park my car, and that took about 30 minutes to find the parking because the lines are ridiculous. And I wanted to go to the Marriott to park, but the line was really long. The valet's too long to do.
The Marriott. Who the fuck parks at the Marriott? That's not staying at the Marriott. That's insane.
Where in downtown
Self-parking.
was this?
We're in downtown. It's on Cesar Chavez.
Okay. Like, how close to, I'm sorry for people who are not from here, but I just want to understand some logic. How close to, like, Congress?
Like 5 minutes, maybe less than that.
Of a drive or a walk? See, this already isn't making sense.
So it's like right
Because
there.
I know this area, so.
Pretty much right there. Yeah.
Okay, I know a parking garage 3 blocks from there where you can park for about $7 through the middle of the night, every single night.
Yeah, I just refused to pay because.
Oh, you said you refused to pay $20. But
or
now,
anything. I refused to pay anything to go to.
why'd you get
go
this
to-
job then? Because you were in an area
There it
that
is. She refuses to pay anything.
requires parking.
I had no idea I had to pay for parking. So they would. So the
How long have you been
building-
in Austin?
4 years.
You didn't know you had to pay to park
I never
downtown?
go downtown.
Okay, so when did you start this job? How long ago?
It's been 4 weeks. I was working here
Oh,
for 4
jeez.
weeks.
I was going to say, okay, if you
They
learned
are
that
very
immediately,
strict.
well, no, I'd be upset if like multiple days in a row someone wasn't showing up. Now, I would try to work with them based on their situation. And then, of course, mental health crisis. So that's not something I would fire someone for. But, of course, if someone was like consistently late and the logic wasn't as
It
sound,
was only twice, literally.
I know, but twice in 4 weeks. If it was twice in 6 months, this would be a different conversation.
Right.
It was twice in 4 weeks. So every other week you were late at least once.
So the last thing that I said, so I know I wasn't supposed to do this, but it's the only way so I wouldn't show up late. So I went in the alleyway and
Oh, Roy, we're just scratching the surface. This is actually her appearing in something of a halfway decent light, believe it or not. It's we're going off the rails. Set sail for fail.
I clocked in at 5 and I went to go park my car and that took about 30 minutes because I wanted to get the free parking. So I had to wait in line.
How much were you making at this job? What was your hourly? What was your position to start with?
So it's hosting. I wanted to do bar back.
Warehouse. Okay.
They lied to me. I went up there and I said, oh, I want to do.
So you heard what she just said. The job lied to her.
I want to do bar back, and I was going up there for the interview, and then the lady says, "Oh, we're not hiring for bar back." Then why did you tell me to come? So I ended up just taking the hosting because I was like, I liked the spot. It was really nice. I liked it was very flexible, and
Okay. How much were you making?
14 plus tips,
Okay. So for the pay of, and how many hours were you working each shift?
8 hours.
Okay. So though I don't like that it was a thing, I'm not like actively cheering it on.
Right.
For just a half an hour, you could have parked the entire shift for just a half an hour of the pay.
And notice that she doesn't understand what he's saying. All right. Now, he did phrase this in a sort of a ambiguous way, arguably, but what he's saying is half of what you make in 1 hour pays for the parking. That's what he's saying. And watch how long it takes her to understand.
What do you mean?
You said you made 14 an hour plus tips. For just half of that, I personally know a parking garage where you could have parked your entire shift for the pay of what equals a half an hour before tips. You could have done that, and you could have had this job for as long as you wanted.
Right. I didn't really have a whole lot to even pay for parking. That's why, because I didn't get paid till the 3rd week.
Well, that's
You know how most
That's
jobs
fair.
you have to wait 3 weeks.
And now back to what Yurt was talking about. So when I was homeless in Old Town Portland, sleeping on the sidewalk, and decided to go, that I got tired of being broke, and I went and got a job at a call center. We were a third party company taking calls for NikeStore.com. And you want to talk about surreal experience, old Benton here, and you want to talk about novelty, Yurt. And I know I've mentioned this before, but one day I slept on the sidewalk across the street from the Mission, downtown Portland, in the summer, and then took the first Max train to Beaverton, and went to my call center job, where we went on a field trip. This was when we were still being trained. We went on a field trip to the Nike campus, is what they call it. The Nike headquarters. So I did that, and then got to tour the facilities and see a lot of cool shit, since I used to like sports. And then finished the day, rode the train back to Old Town, and back to the sidewalk, right? But this gal here, and the point I'm making about this is, and something I realized is, I think a person who actually is homeless with no income, not a person attempting to work the system, but a person who's actually in that position. So from the day I started until the day I received my first full paycheck, full 2 weeks paycheck, was 30 days. And in order to make it during that time, even though I received a partial check, it costs so much. I was just buying, I believe I was buying a monthly pass. Or no, I was buying a weekly pass. And I believe. And I received just enough money to continue to pay for the train. And with just a bare, tiny little amount of money left over. And I continued to exist in the way I was existing up until I finally received a full paycheck. See, if the person is determined to get to the job and make the money, they will make it happen. She clearly, and as we will see, I think what we're going to see is the person who really doesn't want to work consistently, which, I didn't necessarily have the strongest work ethic, but I figured it the fuck out pretty quick.
Weeks to
Well,
get paid.
no, I get that, but so you didn't have $7?
No, because it was complicated. Like I had a transfer. I was negative.
You were negative?
So I'm negative on another account. And
Dude, we were supposed to fix this. I gave you very clear ways to get out of this situation. Oh, sorry, we went down a rabbit hole with this job, and I can definitely understand. Okay, so maybe we haven't worked in a bit, and we're going into a new job. We don't have the money to park at the beginning. Like, I don't find it excusable that you wouldn't be able to park eventually, but okay, at the beginning, and you're not being paid. And most businesses in downtown area now, this is a restaurant, so maybe it's not a thing, but hopefully they voucher. But
Well, and hypothetically, there is free parking. You just one would have to park pretty far out and hoof it. And it sounds like she was I don't know how she was even parking. She's talking about the Marriott and not paying for it. I don't even know. Is she just hoping they don't tow her or something? Or she's sweet talking them into validate. I don't know what she's doing. Like that, actually, I realized that part didn't even come through. Oh, yeah. I wonder how financially sound her parents are. Yeah. Yep. Well, as we may, and again, I'm spoiling, but we may see that she has more going on than just the financial issues.
But wasn't a thing. I would have talked to your coworkers about what you're doing. Plus, tips. Don't you get tipped out nightly?
like they didn't hand it to me, but it was on my check.
Okay, so they got included in the check. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm guessing
Because that depends on the place as well. But either way, we went down the rabbit hole of that restaurant. Why the did you possibly not follow my plan? Why?
With the car, because I refused.
The car was just a fraction of it.
Well, yeah, she has a really bad car loan. She was supposed to sell her car.
The fact that you're negative in your accounts again, when I laid out very concrete plans that, though required sacrifice, were still quite easy in the grand scheme of things.
You have to pay to get stuff off your credit.
What? What are you talking about? In your checking accounts, I gave you very clear methods so that you never had to be negative in your checking accounts again. Why are you negative again?
So I got approved
This is so
to get another
disappointing.
account.
Dude, I wanted you to do so well. And I hope I hope you're not setting an example for other people who are on the show, and this will probably be the last follow-up we do until you actually make some progress in your life. But I mean, this is so sad. Are you not sad about this? I'd be devastated. I am devastated. I shouldn't care about your situation more than you do, and you've put no actions behind getting better. We haven't even looked at any accounts yet, but you've
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I got to quit turning this. I'm trying to save battery because I'm down to a few batteries. Yeah, but I'm just going ahead and promoting his channel again. And thank you for quickly apprising me of that. Yeah, 643K subs, Caleb Hammer, at Caleb Hammer. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I don't ever tell anybody to do that for my channel, but I'd like to. He's never hit me with any sort of copyright, so or strikes, so I'd like to be able to continue to show these on occasion. So I'll make sure to properly promote.
You've put no actions behind trying to get
I'm being
better?
very positive. I've been praying. I'm trying to open up a business and doing side hustles that I found out about.
Okay, and I can't speak on theology all the best, but there is isn't there something in there that says prayer without action is essentially stupid, said in Caleb Hammer words?
Oh, I've done some of the action.
Okay, but have you? The action that I said? Or you're doing the actions that you think are best instead of following what is proven to actually work?
To be honest, the only thing that I remember that we went over is mostly
Remember, you could have
credit.
watched the video. You could have watched it any time.
Well, and this is an interest, and I'm going to do more. I'm going to try not to do too many more spoilers. But remember, this gal is young, like she's in her youth still. So she's Yellow Cake Maker says, "How bad do you want to change?" My boss found out what I was doing, and he offered to loan me money for an apartment within 2 months. And as we'll see, especially when one is in their youth, especially as a female, but even as a male, people are potentially willing to help in certain ways, or to provide things that they perhaps mistakenly believe represent help, as maybe, again, some foreshadowing. Thanks, Rob. Much appreciated. Dropping the link.
Or you could have asked me.
Right.
So you have no job right now.
I'm actually doing a cleaning service.
Okay. How many hours are you working with them?
Hardly none, but it's better than nothing.
Well, sure. How many hours?
Like, it's on call. So if they post a job, then you accept
Through what
it, or you
service?
don't- or you don't.
Oh,
accept
this
it.
is one of those like hire a maid type things. It's not like you're working for a company where they have cleanings ongoing that are scheduled and they send cleaners out.
Yeah, I refuse to do that because then I have.
Well, you
no
refuse to
time.
do a lot of things, and guess what? That made you lose a job. So how about we stop refusing things and we act like an adult?
I just want to be flexible to do the things that I like.
I don't give a shit about the things you like. I like you not being negative in your checking account. We can do things we like when we're in a better position. What's the point of this? What's the point of it? Okay. Nope, I'm not gonna. I don't want to be.
I'm staying positive.
Okay, positive is fine. Positive is fine, and there's definitely a time and place. And in general, I like that attitude. But there's also reality. Like, just being positive about your situation, which is clearly a bad situation, is just ignorance.
Like
You're blissfully
a lot
ignorant.
of research and slowly
About?
doing the action.
Very
Like
slowly because
research-
it's been 6 months and you've done none of the action. So what's the research?
Research on side hustles, stuff like that.
How many hours a week are you working at this place?
Minimum to none. Like I took the first.
Minimum to none is not a number. Give me a number. How many?
Well, and you know, to be somewhat empathetic here, the girl is clearly going through something in her life. She's clearly having some sort of issues that are not being properly addressed. I mean, as many young people do experience. And again, what did I talk about earlier? Is that apparently, according to the mainstream in the news, all-time high self-deletion. So she does seem to be in not such a good space. And then, unfortunately, as some of the commenters pointed out, she's probably does not have a very high IQ. And then, you know, since I do skew a little more left-leaning in some ways, you know, we get into ideas of, you know, people growing up in a certain environment, stressful, abusive, you know, turmoil, and what that does to the brain, you know, the neuroplasticity, you know, the may have grown up in an area that didn't care that if she actually studied and learned and advanced, you know, but a butt in the seat is enough to get, you know, to graduate in a lot of places. And, you know, all of these things that may have occurred in her life to where, you know, it has affected her brain. And I think we will see that as this continues.
How many hours a week are you working on average at
like
this place?
2 hours.
Okay, then that's not a job, dude. That's not
Well,
a
because
job.
I'm doing that for now because I literally just got fired yesterday.
Yeah.
So I did the job actually the next day.
And that's the job that we had
Well,
to
see, it's not her fault. See, and most of what she's saying, it's all looping back to not being her fault. And as I used to point out to ex-wife number 2, when she wasn't like this, but she would sometimes fall into this sort of thinking to some extent. And I'm very sensitive to that. And I said, listen, life is not something that's being done to you. Right. And this gal seems to be falling into that as if she's just here floating adrift and, you know, all of these things are being done to her. Yeah, I understand it can feel that way because I've felt that way at times too, you know, maybe in my lesser evolved forms. But that's not actually what's happening. That's a misperception.
make this earlier than I wanted to because you had to go to it, right? The job you got fired from?
Right, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, I am sorry that you got fired. I would obviously never want anyone fired. I understand why you got there, but
It was
I am
so
sorry.
bad.
I want lots of
like,
people fired.
When they were talking to me, they treated me like I did a crime. They said I'm never allowed in the building. I swear. They're like,
I'd like
Well, and see, as someone who has been kicked out of numerous establishments, you know, almost never is that just for no reason. See, you can see the disconnect in between what she seems to have perceived as happening versus and they're telling her that she's banned from the property, right?
to hear their side before I make any quick judgments, but okay. I want to take a quick moment to thank today's video sponsor, Factor. Factor is the perfect meal delivery service for people who are very busy. Like
Might as
me,
well play
with
his
very
ad.
Particular taste buds, like me. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only the freshest ingredients that meet your nutrition goals. The meals are never frozen and they're dietitian
Okay.
approved. So if it fits in your 50-30-20, say goodbye to meal prepping and standing in those long lines of the grocery.
Well,
Hard part of my life is daily basis. Calorie smart, chef know your meals will do. Use your order code
I use so they read me. Maybe I probably would still had it, but I actually because I'm having issues with just phone and paying for things that like I had to switch phones with my boyfriend.
I was led to believe Music Holds a Secret. Yesterday, he asked, is that room somewhat soundproof, Benton? Don't have to whisper. I told the people when I first came here and asked about these study rooms, I said, you know, I want to do these live streams. I said, I have this really loud voice. So, you know, yesterday was an experiment to see, you know, would other people be disturbed? And we know it's not like the old days where people are like, shh. So there is some level of noise that's now considered permissible in a library. However, I did lower my voice at times yesterday, but it seems like I can talk at full volume. I think probably some people can tell that it's somebody talking. I'm not sure they can actually understand what I'm saying. So far so good. I told the staff yesterday, look, if I'm projecting out into the library, please come let me know. So I think we're all right.
It's literally insane. But
Speaking of
like,
that,
I use their iPad to text someone, and they're like, "Oh, we were gonna write you up because you're using company property." So I forgot to delete it.
So to be clear, you're working 2 hours a week right now.
What?
That's your life. You're working 2 hours a week right now, as of today, because you got fired yesterday. That's your life is 2 hours a week right now. So we clearly need to go get another job to replace this job immediately. Have you applied to a bunch just starting last night and this morning? Have you applied to a bunch of different positions? Maybe being a waitress, hostess, bar thing, whatever.
Yes, a million. And I've actually was like,
Well, and see, I can relate to this because I have an excellent work ethic that I've developed over time, and I so much hated the process, and I interview well typically, but I so much hated and despised the process of getting a job, the actual process of obtaining employment, that once I dropped out of the workforce for damn near 10 years, one of the reasons I chose to go into truck driving was that I now sidestep all of that. There's really no, especially if one is willing to do the type of trucking that I used to do. And I've now almost fully accepted that I'm not going back to truck driving. I'm just, when I'm at my best and I feel good, I am able to do it. And my mind, again, back to the indomitable, volatile, loose cannon, like part of me will always believe I'm capable of that. And in a life or death scenario, I'm sure I am. If like the fate of the world depended on Benton being able to, drive 12,000 miles in a month rather. And as we remember, I have to actually, in order to get paid for 12,000, I got to drive, damn near 14,000. But because they do steal some of the productivity, of course. But part of that, me going into that industry was knowing that I wouldn't have to go through this process of begging for jobs that I don't want in the first place, which I always found to be demeaning and beneath me on some level.
like sleeping in my car at one point, and then I actually found a live-in nanny position. She ended up letting me live there.
No, she's homeless. See, this lady, which is, no shame in that from my perspective, but she's become homeless, living in her car for extended periods of time, and then she's still homeless because somebody's allowing her to stay with them in exchange for apparently nanny services. Of course, this is what she's telling us. And I am gullible to a point where, maybe she has a sugar daddy or something. I mean, who the hell knows what's going on at this point? But let's back that up a little bit.
Immediately. Have you applied to a bunch just starting last night and this morning? Have you applied to a bunch of different positions? Maybe being a waitress, hostess, bar thing, whatever.
Yes, a million. And the lady I found, I've actually was like sleeping in my car at one point, and then I actually found a live-in nanny position. She ended up letting me live there, and she's paying me on the weekends. So, I didn't even mention that. She's paying me on the weekends to watch her kids, and on the weekdays, I have time to basically do whatever I want. I have another job.
You live there?
I live there
all the time?
All the time.
So your rent is nothing?
The rent is nothing.
Sounds like a relative, perhaps.
That's awesome. That's good, because that puts you in a position where you can start making progress on things. Now, what is this? Tell me what this is. You sound like...
that might be like mine. I think that's mine. Does it say Chase on there?
It looks like it's from Chase.
Because I mostly don't use that account.
These screenshots.
Screenshots, yeah. I just cropped out the...
I told you not to send screenshots. I
it's
don't know
on
what
my
order things
app.
are. I know. That's why I said go to a computer and download the PDFs. Okay. Okie dokie. See, I don't even know what
Does it
this
say the date
is.
on it?
Yes, but I can't see the start of the statement. Oh, this is so out of order. Okay, here we go.
Well, and here's where we discover that Caleb has requested financial documents to be submitted in a particular format. And this is, I think, where we get into the oppositional defiance, which, it's bad enough that I do have a sprinkling of it in certain ways. But when I agree to perform a job for someone who's paying me, I'm not engaged in oppositional defiance. So you can actually see, and it seems like in 2023, the ladies seem to be suffering from this oppositional defiance. Not all ladies, but, if you put all women in a bucket and you put all men in a bucket and you compare the two, women seem to be actually running into this more nowadays than men or males, where, I'm sure he was very specific about what she was to submit. And remember, she's being paid for this. I don't know how much, but she's 100% being paid for this. And maybe even a portion of the revenue. I have no idea. But, so a person who has been given clear instructions on how to submit these documents, it seems like it has to be like a willful defiance that we're about to learn she was for some reason unable to do this. Although making excuses, if that was a job, she'd be doing quite well.
Okay. This is the statement. You just didn't download the PDF version. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Beginning balance $-5. And you had the job at the time. There is no excuse. There is no
The
excuse.
restaurant or the one before?
I don't, dude, this was just over 2 months ago. No, it was like a month and 2.5 weeks ago. If you had just lost your job and went through, a bunch of crazy stuff and you came in here for the first time, I'd say, okay, boom, that's a bad situation. Let's get out of it. You have been here twice and I have shown you how to get out of this. Why'd you start with a negative balance in your checking account in May?
Yeah, it's been like that for a while.
Why? Why'd you not fix it?
Cash.
Can you just tell me why you have not fixed anything?
Fix anything like name, like a name, name it.
Huh?
Like what do you mean?
I've showed you how to manage your money and not be negative in a
And what you see here is she's not even tracking. Like, she's not following what he's saying, which is a sign of some sort of stunted development, maybe a learning disorder, which I don't necessarily believe in, but to use the terminology of the system here, she's certainly not tracking what he's saying.
checking account ever again, and yet we are negative in a checking account. Why have you not fixed that? Why have you done nothing to fix that?
I'm not sure.
That's not an answer. That is not an answer. Because I want to help you. You have no idea how bad I wanted you to do well. You have no idea, and that's why I'm so upset right now. And I am kind of upset at you because you did not take the actions to do it. Usually I'm just upset at the situation. But in this case, I am a little upset at you as well. And I'm upset at the fact that I clearly care more about your well-being than you care about yourself. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What can I do to help you? This is just sad. I'm just sad.
I just don't want to talk about the car though, because I have to keep the car in order to get places.
You don't, but we've already been over that, and you can take the f***ing bus. We already talked about that. Insert the clip now.
And then how would I
You
get
use
to
the
work?
9,000 and the 6 bus. You are busing until you save up $10,000.
How would I get to work
Bus.
without a car?
You ride the bus.
Without a car. See, she doesn't even know what he's saying. She's just, in her mind, she's not riding a bus. And Rob rides a bus to work, as far as I know. When I got my job in Austin and worked at the airport, it was 45 minutes each way. And that's if everything went properly. Sometimes, there was one time the bus didn't come at all. And it was like I was just there for like 3 hours after work. And after that, I got to where I conceivably could have worked like an extra hour. And I started leaving work early, with permission, of course, by, communicate with them that I'm leaving early to make sure I could get back to the Salvation Army, for God's sakes, to live in a jail-style dorm setting. And I'm not a criminal, by the way. Yeah, financial drubbing. Yeah, but this part is hilarious because she's just, you can tell she doesn't even know what he's saying.
You as well. And I'm upset at the fact that I clearly care more about your well-being than you care about yourself. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What can I do to help you? This is just sad. I'm just sad.
I just don't want to talk about the car though, because I have to keep the car in order to get places.
You don't, but we've already been over that, and you can take the f***ing bus. We already talked about that. Insert the clip now.
And then how would I
You
get
use
to
the
work?
9,000 and the 6 bus. You are busing until you save up $10,000.
How would I get to work
Bus.
without a car?
You ride the bus.
Oh, the bus?
Yes. You can take the bus, but you decide.
And by the way, as someone who's ridden the buses in Austin many times, it's a very usable bus system. The thing is, it's not a major city where it's like, here comes a bus every 15 minutes. One needs to properly manage their time. And she just doesn't seem capable of saying, okay, I need to be here at this time. Look at the bus schedule, although arguably this thing will do the work for you, right? That's all built into Google Maps. But, it's a very usable bus system in Austin with some light rail, by the way. I think. Yeah, they have some light rail.
Decided no.
Oh no,
I want
no
to.
bus. I've been taking the bus my whole life. I refuse.
You refuse to have a financial future. You refuse to have a financial presence. Present. Refuse. You said refuse. I refuse to pay to park in a city
But
where
should
you have to park.
pay to park?
I don't know whether
To go to your own job?
Whether something is should is a completely different conversation. I don't go over what should be, what should not be. You go change that by voting and stuff like that, and that can be a conversation in different places. It would be irresponsible of me to sit on this table and be like, well, I wish this, I wish this, I wish this. Okay, that's your situation. No, here's the situation we are in, and here's the realities of how to deal with that in our current structure. And the structure is you do have to pay, and you actively chose not to. The reality is you could have taken the bus, you could have gotten rid of the car, and you could be in a future or a present situation where you're not negative in your checking account, and you actively refused not to.
I can't wait with the car. I can't sell that car.
What do you mean you can't sell that
No,
car?
so basically, the car is like what they're charging me is worth less.
Yes,
than
I
can sell it for
know
you.
now. I know.
Well, and by the way, I just realized it struck me, if you see how she's interacting, I've contended in the recent past that the general public can no longer consider more than one idea simultaneously, and you just see it with her. She's only able to, at best, you can get one idea in her head at a time, and it's like a light went off because she dropped the previous narrative and went to a new narrative, right? It's just, you know, it's interesting to be able to observe people's psychology, and then there's so much, you know, energy and emotion and stress and anxiety around money and finances in general that it sort of brings, you know, it brings a lot of this to the surface, in my view.
Now, when we originally talked, if you got rid of it at that time, it would have been a different story. But you decided to f yourself.
What about I'll do Uber?
You drive Uber?
Well, I'm trying to do Uber, but my engine light is on, so I had to do the inspection and all of that.
Well, and then see, we get in when she says, Yellow Cake Maker says she refuses to take any responsibility. She needs her nail did and her perm fresh, no money for parking. Well, see, now we get into the new sugar daddy culture in which, you know, I'm certain she has skills in convincing other people to pay for her to be able to be presentable, if that makes sense. Even if they won't just hand her cash necessarily. It's still a transactional relationship.
And?
They said if your engine light is on, so I had to get registered again because it's past the date. It says like June on my car. So I had to get it registered again. So I did get my car insurance. I had car insurance through the car company, but they told me how to get a secondary, so I never got it. Most places won't accept that first insurance.
What?
Well, so, and Ginger Ridge says this broad is short bus status. And, you know, I've been so critical and outspoken about where I believe, you know, based on my own observations and pattern recognition, where the just more or less the general public is. And it's more where the general public exists is more similar to what she's got going on than folks like, you know, the audience and myself who are, you know, drawn to discussing ideas and thinking about things, right?
What is this insurance that you possibly
What's
have?
up,
You mean,
Jimbo?
Just to do
warranty?
Uber, yeah. So I just got the car insurance because I know Uber makes pretty good money. So
It can, depending. But, dude. All right, well, you started negative. You cash apped out $140. Who knows where that went? Cashed app out
It's to pay
$138.
bills.
Who are you cash apping to pay bills? You live for free.
my boyfriend,
But you live for free. What bills is he paying? Why are you paying?
like I had to send it on his card to pay for the bills, like my car payment,
Huh? Why are you paying him to pay for your car payment?
because my account's negative. So it's when it's negative on another account, it won't let me like use it, which is stupid.
What?
It will not let me use the card when I'm negative on another account.
You wouldn't be negative on this account if you didn't send out $145,138. Does that not make sense? There's like some basic math here.
I'm bad at math. I failed math.
Okay, this is like second grade math though.
Well,
It's not funny to me. This isn't funny to me. A
I'm
negative
trying
checking.
not-
well, and you can see just the, you know, I can excuse the part where obviously her brain is not operating properly. Meanwhile, the dumbest person I ever met when I was in my youth got a college degree solely based on his own determination, and he just would not be denied, and he was able to graduate college. He's a blithering idiot, right? I think she's probably smarter than him, and I'm not even exaggerating, but you can just see she's not willing to. It's not even effort. I think it's just, I don't even know, man, at this point. It's just, yeah, anyway.
It's not funny. I understand you want to be positive, but you're also just not acknowledging your situation, which means you're not willing to do anything about your situation.
Oh, yeah, the delusion and the denial, just complete in a delusional state and just in total and complete denial as to what's actually happening.
And this is making me feel nothing but just devastation, and I should not be feeling that more than you. Empower? $8? What's that?
It's a cash advance.
Oh, it's not funny.
I know it's really annoying. Just crap that I'm going through is really annoying.
Cash app, so much cash app. Cash app, cash app. And
The
then
crap that I'm going through is really annoying. Again, life from her perspective is something that's being done to her. This is all being inflicted upon her. And again, we get back to the Adam Carolla concept of all roads lead to narcissism, right? And then, you know, it's like, who is you, lady? Who are you, lady, to think that just you should be catered to? But then what do we see on social media? You know, the idea of a king and a queen, and, you know, women supposedly being of such high status and value being promoted through social media. And there's, you know, all the simps presumably on her phone, you know, telling her how great she is. Well, if she actually internalizes those ideas, well, look at the disconnect and the delusional state she's inhabiting, because is necessarily being forced, right, seemingly against her will, from her perspective, to actually go out and interface in the realm. And I think some of this ties back to what old Europe was talking about. It's what is this, what do they call that? Again, the man who used to have the words right there at the tip of his tongue, serendipitous.
Some cash app came in. Then we're doing.
Like my
Tyler, what the? This is not funny.
I'm not laughing at. It's just.
Listen, this is gonna be the last time I ever say it.
Has Mr. Me been in here today? I forgot to thank you, sir, for your contribution, by the way. I got kind of, again, lost in my own sauce. I guess that's my new favorite phrase. So if Mr. Me sees this, thank you for your generous donation.
And then we will probably never see each other.
And as well as the super chats. And shout out to Obscenity. He's pledged a donation. And Gary Baxter. And if y'all don't want me saying your names individually, please let me know.
Again, if you're not going to improve your
But
situation.
I don't really know how that's supposed to be handled. I'm kind of doing what I see other people doing in some regard, and not just Mr. Unslaved, other channels as well.
Because at this point, I'll feel like I'm just talking to a brick wall, and I'm going to allow other people to use this time who want to improve their situations. But this is the last time I'm going to say this. This episode is. If you are negative in your checking account, you cannot afford a $17 McDonald's DoorDash delivery. You can.
Well, see, this is America, by the way. You know, it was bad enough that in the past, you know, so many people were able to drive their car to the McDonald's. And it's bad enough, you know, as we saw the price of these, value meals, so-called, rise. And I can remember when, you know, like a combo meal was like $5 with the tax and everything. Yeah, I'm old, but what is it now? $10? I don't even know. I have no idea what it costs. But, well, then let's go ahead and increase the price by almost 100% by paying another person to bring it to us. And then, like Adam Carolla pointed out back in the old days when he was still, you know, good to listen to, he said, at what point is it the person not only brings it to you, but they chew it up for you and they drop it into your mouth so that all you have to do is swallow the food? I mean, like, how far away is society from some version of that?
Cannot afford that.
I'm a dumb boyfriend.
You immediately deflected and tried to make an excuse and blame it on someone else. Are you ever going to take responsibility for anything?
Yes.
Are you? So will you do $17 McDonald's DoorDash deliveries again?
No. I don't want to order DoorDash. I want to actually, so now that I'm living there, she has a stove and everything, you know, where
Thanks,
I live,
Dal.
there's no stove. So I can cook, so I can go to the grocery store, buy like small meals, and it can last for like 2 weeks, or, you know, so I don't have to buy anything out.
Chicken Express, we're spending $15.46. Wendy's, Chipotle, $22.
Appreciate it, brother.
You cannot afford this. You're not affording to live.
Oh, that's when I wasn't living at the lady's house, though. So I had to eat out.
You know what is going to piss me off, though? You're not willing to pay $7. And again, it sucks. I'm not saying, woo, that's great that you have to pay to park to go to your job. I'm not saying it does. But you're refusing, in your own words, to pay $7 so that you can go make 15 plus tips 8 hours a night, yet you will go spend $22 on Chipotle.
I promise you it's not $7.
I promise you it is. That's the place I parked to get over to the locations you're at. You're right. If you go park on Rainy Street, it's going to be like $40.
Well, and now we see the oppositional defiance. Like, I've parked a car. Like, yes, this is not the type of person who is wrong about being able to park for $7 for an entire night. Like, he knows what he's talking about. 100%.
But you don't work on Rainy Street. You told me where you work.
Do you know where Caesar Chav? I don't know.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I do too.
It's either if it's not extremely far, the one across.
You would have to walked about 4 blocks.
I could open Google Maps and show you exactly where. I know exactly where Cesar Chavez in Congress is.
But that's worth it.
For $7?
Yes,
Oh, I
4 or
know.
5 blocks.
I only just did the ones that.
Or
are
you could have
nearby.
just listened to me and got a bus pass and took the bus. But
My dad actually works for Metro, and I can get a free one. But I kept losing
great.
the card.
well, that's just really gonna piss me off. Then I'm sorry. I promise I'm not trying to shame you or anything like that. I know some negative people think that that's the intention of the show, which is kind of gross, but it's because I'm pissed that I care about your situation more than you do. Chicken Express again.
But that's when I
Hotel
was living
6.
in my car, so I had to eat out.
Oh, how long do you live in your car? Okay, that's a different
2
conversation.
months.
Wow, so you were homeless for 2
Because
months?
I didn't want to live in Louisiana, because I was living in Louisiana for 4 months. I didn't like it. I hated it. I can't get nowhere. I can't meet nobody. Can't talk to people. Network. So I moved. I
Louisiana.
moved.
Wait, what was up with Louisiana? Because last time you lived in Austin, did you go?
And as someone who was homeless in Austin, I think she was homeless in Louisiana, but even in Louisiana, there was such a thing as like a free meal, right? Like one does not necessarily have to eat out just because one is homeless. I can promise you that.
Louisiana for a bit?
Yeah, that's why I haven't talked to you, because I moved to Louisiana and I was there for 4 months, and I was working at a casino, but they lied to me talking about like
Another employer that lied to her.
22 an hour, and only
Well,
making
hold on. Now
$12
that you've
an
said
hour.
the last 2 places have lied to you, I'm immediately starting to become skeptical.
These jobs and managers always lie to you. Corporate America lies. They lie to you.
Okay, not that I'm saying they don't.
Well, and see, now I think we're going to start seeing the downside of some of the type of material that, those of us in these so-called truth communities like to talk about. This is like the negative or the downfall is dumbos like this lady who she's encountered a lot of these anti-corporate ideas, but she's using those concepts in a way that's actually stunting her own development. Because a lot of us have a low regard and a bad feeling about corporations, but most of us are not allowing that to keep us from, I won't even say seeking employment, because I don't. At one point, I'm old enough now. I'm old enough to where I remember a time when that was viewed as what one is supposed to go out and seek employment. I'm not even saying that. I'm talking about somebody who's living in their car, and obviously the most effective way to get out of that situation would be to at least secure employment, even if only temporarily. But so me, who's known all about how horrible corporations are for many years, I was still able to go work in the workforce, for the time I needed to do that, in spite of the fact that I had negative impressions of corporations in general.
But everything I'm hearing is just pushing the blame on other people except for yourself. Everything so far. You have not once taken responsibility for anything. But I'm very sorry you experienced homelessness. That is something I would never wish anyone. I can't think of someone I dislike a lot right now off the top of my head. And even if there was someone that I truly hated, I wouldn't want them to be homeless. And I'm so sorry you went through that. I am so sorry. And there is reasons in here where I'm sure, okay, in a hungry.
Now, was she really homeless? This almost looks like a little duper's delight here. Let's look at her face when he says, giving her sympathy for being homeless.
Very sorry you experienced homelessness. That is something I would never wish anyone. I can't think of someone I dislike a lot right now off the top of my head. And even if there was someone that I truly hated, I wouldn't want them to be homeless. And I'm so sorry you went through that. I am so sorry. And there is.
I don't know. There's a little something there.
And even if there was someone that I truly hated, I wouldn't want them to be homeless. And I'm so sorry you went through that. I am so sorry. And there is reasons in here where I'm sure, okay.
Well, or the whole thing's fake, right? The auto hoax crowd. Maybe it's just, but I don't know. I'm not willing to accept that these people are, have this level of acting skill.
Hungry situation. I get it. I would still obviously rather.
But they
did you
could
take advantage of some local resources, some food pantry situations.
Well, I was actually, so my boyfriend worked at the casino and I was working at the casino. So we were living in the cabin. You're probably gonna think, we were living in this cabin for free, and we were wasting the money. Obviously we were.
I think you're right, Jimbo. Or just maybe she actually has a relative. Maybe she actually has a relative that she's just staying with potentially, and she doesn't want to admit to that possibly. But sugar daddy seems to make the most sense. But then that kind of begs the question, what kind of sugar daddy is this? Because we seem to be very loose. We seem to throw that term around very loosely. I think back in the day, it did at least imply an older man of means, right? Whereas nowadays, it's just you got literal people on Social Security that could function as a sugar daddy, or as at least a portion of a sugar daddy, especially when we see these, these romance scams. And some of those folks, especially the men, right? The women at least seem to have some money left over from, the women at least seem to have some savings. The women that fall for the romance scams, they have whatever they took from their divorce, right? Or money they inherited, versus some guy in a guy in a wheelchair on a monthly stipend who ends up breaking off a portion of that and giving it to a romance scammer.
We were wasting
Yeah,
money
broke ass
for fun,
sugar
and we're
daddy.
living rent free.
He's not. Is he? What's up with your boyfriend?
He's getting better.
Well, see, I'm looking at this as well, and I don't want to get too much into that. I don't even mean eyes down and to the right. I'm saying the totality of her facial expression to me conveyed some sort of glee or pleasure being received at if she's actually believes that she's getting one over on him. And I would and as somebody who's studied body language, I would interpret the looking away in this regard, since you could not see her eyeballs. You were unable to see. I would consider that what they call eye blocking, which is a particular body language or psychological phenomenon, right? But the total, in my view, and again, I could be completely wrong, but then again, if I do have undiagnosed autism, part of that is I literally taught myself to decode facial expressions. So I'd like to think I have a little bit of standing in this area. That the totality of what I saw on her face was that she seems to be happy and receiving pleasure in the form of almost like a duper's delight. But I could be wrong. Sometimes I do. I don't believe it's possible to read too much into a situation, but sometimes I do manage to go so far down that road. I see things that aren't actually there. That has happened at times.
Better though.
Is he an enabler of you?
Oh, well, and he said, yeah, $20 in a 2-seater bicycle qualifies you as a sugar daddy. By the way, Austin, especially if one is biking into downtown and out of downtown, very bikeable. I'm not a bicycle guy, but she could absolutely ride a bike if she doesn't want to take the bus, or a combination of bicycle and bus. But the fact is, she's been brainwashed to the point where she can't be caught dead on public transportation. It's actually to her detriment. She wouldn't be caught dead on a bus.
Huh? No, definitely no. I used to be married and everything. I divorced. He was very, very, very controlling. Didn't let me do anything. I couldn't even work out.
That's funny.
But this guy though.
And I'm not trying to be rude, Roy, to her, but it's going to sound rude. Roy says, has she not heard of OnlyFans? I don't think she could run an OnlyFans. She would have to go into something that she would have to find somebody who could serve as a some version of a pimp. I don't think she could run an OnlyFans, and she certainly doesn't have the work ethic because as much as there's moral issues, and I certainly I'm not here to get involved in as far as people who choose to do that. But what I'm saying is there is some level of work ethic involved. I'm not sure she could even figure out how to use the platform, how to cash out the money, and also work enough to make it actually pay off. I mean, imagine that level of ineffectiveness like we talked about. And she's certainly ineffectual across the board, right? She's demonstrating... Now, she is demonstrating an ability to arguably sponge off of people in a certain regard, but as far as actually accomplishing anything in the realm, on the map here, she just doesn't seem to even be capable. Or again, it's like a willful hobbling. It's like there's so much of an oppositional defiance, and even a cutting off of one's nose to spite their face. Because there's jobs out there for people. And again, I'm not saying get a job. I'm saying if a person, in my view, the best thing for her, this is my opinion, if she's going to be this way, the best thing she could do is be like, I'm just not going to have a job, and then figure out what else is possible. Some people are never, ever going to succeed or even be able to conform to society enough to actually hold down a job. There are some people like that, but then it's up to them to figure out another way. Just like if I decide I'm not able to go to back to truck driving, which I believe is pretty much the case, well, it's incumbent upon me now. I must figure out another way, or I'll be back in the streets where, yeah, part of that does partially appeal to me on some level, but I'd like to think I made good use of my time living that lifestyle. And I certainly would, I'm not romanticizing it at this point. So it's not going to help me further my goals, if that makes sense, going into back into that lifestyle. So it's now up to me to, is some of that, portion derived from income? Is some of that going to be, I meet somebody with a big channel and I can, remotely help them out in certain ways? Would it be possible for me to get some kind of voiceover work without having to go through, I've looked into voiceover work as far as putting myself out there with everybody else, and that doesn't seem like a route to making much money at all. But see, it's up to me to do all this, just like it's up to her. If she would take ownership and just be real with herself instead of being in a delusional state, I think that would be empowering for her to just be like, look, I'm not an 8-to-5 gal. And there are those people in the world who they're not going to work 40 hours a week, 8 to 5. It's not going to happen, even if they try really fucking hard. So, okay, that's fine. This is America. Everybody can find their own little lane. I'm convinced of that. But that's her job. It's her job to manage to find those resources and interface with those resources. That's not anybody else's. That's for her to do.
Blowing the money and stuff like that. Is he a good influence in your life?
I think. I don't know yet.
How long have you guys been together?
7 months.
Oh, okay. Burger King, Chicken Express.
But I mean, who would there would be no guy that I would know that would come live within the car with me. They'll be like, no.
He lived in the car with you?
Yeah, he can literally go to his mom's house and live there.
You guys were making some money
Yeah.
And of
DoorDash.
course, there are Section 8 can take a while to get into, and there are other resources and stuff like that. Where were you all prioritizing your money at that time?
He was definitely mostly the one blowing the money. Like,
What about your money?
I did some stuff. I feel like the number one money blower is food.
So why
Food
were you
is a big
prioritizing
issue.
food over a place to live potentially?
Why was I say that again?
Why were you prioritizing food over a place to live potentially?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, and I will say this, that, based on her presentment on the previous video, and that if you remember that short clip he played from an earlier video, her face, to Ginger Ridge's point about how she's doing her eye makeup, she looked like a different person in a way. And now she does seem to be dressing like, someone who is, well, let's be honest, it would probably be multiple people, but probably it's possible she's now dressing in this way. Does this look like somebody who's working as a nanny? Okay, let's put it, this is not what somebody who works as a live-in nanny, they don't look like this. So that's clearly a bullshit lie. What she's actually doing, I have no idea.
Like
You also prioritize your car because your car is
yeah, that's why. Yeah,
your car is the cost of a month's rent at a place.
Yeah, I had to make sure that I'm always like, oh, car payment. It's like this. The number one thing on my mind all the time is really annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. That's why I paid $4,500 for a Nissan Versa. And guess what? That's paid for because I'm not going to have a car payment most likely ever again. Meanwhile, it's super fucking annoying that I've been, for the last month, it's been foremost in my mind in problem solving around this car. Yeah, it's annoying. It's called being an adult, lady. It's many of the things attached to being an adult are annoying. Yes, I agree. If one allows them to be, if one allows them to be annoying, right? Or one could learn how to sit with the annoyance and without resolving it. Thank you, Ginger Ridge. Without necessarily, who says that was well said, to sit with something unresolved, as I've been doing with this car situation, but knowing, number one, everything always works out. Number two, I will resolve the situation to my own satisfaction, just not yet, but I'm working on it. And if I was questioned by somebody like Caleb, I would have specific answers to explain to him exactly why things are being done the way they are. She has no fucking idea why she's doing what she's doing. No idea. Yeah, she's annoying. If y'all are tapped out of this, I feel like pretty much this is probably everything I wanted to convey, that there are increasingly, this is how many people are, and it has nothing, I don't think it has anything to do with her race or background. I really don't. I think there's a lot of people. I can show you a white guy who works as a mechanic that I watched the other day. And now he is taking a little more responsibility. Now, part of that is he's married, or he's, lives with his baby mama. And so it's a different situation, but he also seems to be experiencing some of what she's experiencing. So I don't connect this to race or culture or background in any way. Lots of people are now this way. It tends to express differently amongst different, races and different people of different backgrounds. But the actual, the patterns are there, right?
Okay. Then you ended the next month negative as well.
But anyway, I think we're done with that. I believe, and one last time to promote Mr. Hammer's channel here. I enjoy his videos. It's my favorite. This is my favorite channel currently, at Caleb Hammer. Check him out if you're interested in such content. If not, don't, because I don't go after, if I don't like content, I don't go after it either. So it's one of my favorite things. Since we do seem, for whatever reason, we seem to have immersed ourselves into this metaverse, right? That is one of the benefits, is we get to pick and choose what content we're going to interface with and in what fashion. I think this one was like an hour and a half, maybe. They're usually right at an hour. That one might have went a little long. No, or 51 minutes, because I believe he finally just tapped out and was like, look, you're obviously not going to change anything, and I don't want to talk to you again until you change those things, is more or less what he tells her at the end. Thank you, Sterling Ray. And see, I don't know how long Sterling Ray's been listening to me run my yap, but that's been one of my major themes, is that people keep saying that society's going to collapse. There's all these problems. No, society has collapsed. It just visually, it looks like it's still working. But in fact, if this ain't a collapse, I would hate to see an actual collapse. In fact, in many ways, I believe I could make a case that an actual Mad Max scenario, while it would, a lot of people would be harmed in the early stages, I think on some level a Mad Max SHTF scenario would actually be less bad than this. I mean, and again, we're going full doomer. Back to what Yurt was covering, and I'm catastrophic. Anyway, he covered it. There's no need for me to sum him up. So, yep. Okay, yeah, I'll drop it again, just in case Mr. Hammer ever comes across my videos. And I'm sure he's seen my comments because I post pretty much every time he drops a video. I'm like, this is my favorite channel. Yep, collapsed like a junkie's veins. Yellow cake maker. Yeah, it's gone. Benton collapsed but it's still here. That's the thing. And I'm not disagreeing with you. It's like, but the bad thing is we're still living in it. Like we're still functioning within it. We're still dysfunctioning within it to some extent. But thank you, Sterling Ray. But yeah, there's Caleb. Can I manage to drop a link? I don't know. Oh, yes, I can. Fantastic. I probably need to put him in not that it really matters, but I probably need to put him in the video description just so I want to continue to use his content. And shout out to the channels who've allowed me to do these sort of videos on occasion, these sort of live streams. It certainly helps because I don't always have just things to drone on and on about, and people aren't always willing to join the panel. And I don't blame them, especially after some of my recent shenanigans. The O'Shea thing certainly seems to have spread far and wide. So probably folks are like, why even? And then the Nubs, the deal with Nubs. So it's like, why even go over there and talk to that guy? I bet you is Nachiketa on OTW's panel? That's the question. Let's check in on OTW news. Let's do that. How about you? And thanks again, Mr. Hammer. Much appreciated. Although I don't in any way believe that's your real last name. The Grand Rising Show.
Or speak your mind. The link is in chat. I can put it down again if you want.
Oh, it's Kim before the storm. Fascinating. We're going to take a short bathroom break, and I'm probably going to rewind this because I must see where this is going, and certainly I will be mentioned, right? And if anybody remembers when I first left the CBO Discord and I was in experiencing these all these problems and was more or less effectively bedridden much of the day for a couple of months, at least 6 weeks. For a time, damn near every live stream was about me on some level, which I found humorous, and that seems to have worn off, thankfully. Thanks, Yellow Cake Maker. I do kind of like the flying under the radar aspects of the broadcast, I must say. Like somehow nothing has accrued at the form of repercussions when I accidentally showed that very graphic, violent video yesterday. So, but yeah, thank you. I'm certain it helps the algorithm, or at least it may help. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, it's a quick bathroom break, and then we shall return shortly. Wow, 17 comments while I was gone. The chat is lit, as it were. So give me a moment to, since we're just chilling, we're hanging out. This is the Paul and Slade pre-show on some level, or one of them perhaps. But I'm tongue in cheek, right? Unofficial. The unofficial proper instruction motivates people pre-show. I'm not sure anybody would notice, but yeah, I don't take the books into the restroom. No, I don't even want to get into that, but sort of my mind went into the gutter for a moment. But let's just say at a time in my early teenage years, it would have been possible for someone to believe I had a higher interest in photography books than I actually had. If anybody's picking up what I'm putting down. What's up, GRP? Good to see you, brother. Hey, man, great job with Kim. You and Kim, man, you guys killed it. And I'm sorry, tell Truther Cop that Truther Cop and Kim killed it the other night. And it was really good up until the Breonna Taylor stuff. For me personally, only speaking for myself. But let's drop that link if nobody's seen this yet, because this was I found this to be quite a compelling broadcast. It was interesting hearing that fellow that claimed he was doing the pro se thing and was the only J6 defendant. And we all know my opinion on January the 6th. And that, by the way, that seems like he's got to be some form of an agent or a psyop. But who knows? I'm not saying he is. It seems that way, right? But Truther Cop official. Truther Cop official. Let's see, where are we at here? I'm getting a new mouse and keyboard. This is crazy. Oh, we're sharing the wrong screen. Share this tab instead. At Truther Cop. Check him out if you're so inclined. Here it is. Latest from Truther Cop. Let me hit his channel link here. Okay. Drop the link. And I actually, as much as I personally dislike Kim, I really like him. When he's in his wheelhouse, and we can all debate the way he comes across, but to me, that's, if we're going to have a free country, so-called, he gets to more or less behave as he chooses, as long as he's not causing what? Loss, injury, or harm, right? In the physical, But there's Truther Cop's officials page, and this, I really appreciated this under live here, this breaking 1,000 upcoming arrests. Very, very interesting. Very well done. Shout out to Truther Cop. And not a potato shouting you out today, sir. And that's the recent live stream. It's got a time code in it, though. That's no good. Let's fix this. Why does it keep putting these time codes in there? I need to just delete that post. What the hell, man? You'd think I would know how to YouTube by now. Imagine being addicted to YouTube and still fucking old manning it to this degree. I mean, what an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. It's going to make me actually go to the...
Lie.
What was that?
It was some DC lie.
It still wants to put these time codes in. What the hell, man? There we go. That ought to do it. Okay, dude. I feel like I've fulfilled my my duties there to some extent. All right, let's finish up with the chat here and then see what we want to get into. But it's now a hang, right? Like I feel like I've fulfilled whatever obligations I've placed upon myself. Like I used to talk about EBT likes to assign himself homework at times. Whatever I tasked myself with accomplishing this morning, I feel like I've done that, right? So now I get to just kind of kick back and it can be a hang. If anybody wants to come up, if GRP wants to come up, I'm sure he's busy. And it was my distinct pleasure, by the way, to point out what should be obvious but really isn't, is that GRP's buddy Truther Cop is over there doing actual journalism, which I think it's something that increasingly does not exist to the degree that I don't think we can spot it anymore collectively. I don't mean the truth community. I just mean people in general. I'm not sure that the general public has any concept of what journalism is intended to be. So I know it when I see it. And that was thank you for when you see Truth or Cop, let him know, GRP. It's I get some very positive feelings about seeing actual journalism being done. Certainly. Oh, we're talking footwear. I do like footwear. I'm a hiking shoe kind of guy myself. I got the Merrells. My favorite are Salomons, but and if you I can get these are $99, but if somebody is patient, eventually Amazon once again they'll be like $65. But back when I was rolling in the dough, driving a truck, I was buying these Salomons, man, and I know it's people say Solomon, but it's spelled fucking Salomon, so I call them Salomon. But Solomon, that's my favorite shoes, and they were like 99, and then eventually they were like $150, and they wear out in like 3 months. They're like the most badass, comfortable shoes I've ever worn, and even in the little bit of walking a truck driver does, they're just they're done for in like 3 months. But these last a long time. This is like the third pair I've had of these Merrells. It's an old style, though. Actually, I found them because ex-wife number 2 worked at Dillard's, and there was like one size 12 on clearance, and she bought them for me, and I freaking love them. Look at those sexy chicken legs. Well, and this is where we talk about ego and vanity. Is when I graduated high school, 135 pounds, I had a scrawny upper body. I've always had leg muscles my whole life. I can effectively put both of them, I can wrap my hands around my thigh at this point. I've never been like that. I'd probably have to go back to 12 years old when my legs were this small. I'm not even going into that. It's been a good day so far. There's no reason to go back into that loop. So we'll just leave that. Yeah. Shout out to size 12s. Hey, 5'10" with not a hen of a shoulder, and I can palm a basketball. In the NFL, they measure for quarterbacks. They measure probably receivers. They measure from here to here for hand size. These are the hands of an NFL quarterback, at least as far as size. My thing is, I missed an opportunity to become a concert pianist, I believe. But anyway, I have almost no regrets about my youth. But if I had it to do over again, I would have played the piano, right? And size 12s, and I can palm a basketball. So. But no 5'10" king of the manlets and no sign of a shoulder. But hey, I'll take what I can get, right? Yeah, no kidding. It's like, yeah, it is kind of comical if you actually see me and like in person. It's just like, what the fuck even? Like, what is this, dude? Like, for real. Oh man. Oh, good God. What a mess. What a mess. Yeah, and I got a lot to say about this. Let me convert the microphone into Benton, assuming it's like I'm the authority now, right? It's like, this is how confident I am in what I have to say. But no, EBT's drinking and smoking are probably related to the condition he found his father in. And my experience, what little I know of military men, especially lifelong career military, especially officers, as EBT's dad was apparently the Master Chief, they tend to booze all the way through. And it's funny how as men we just a lot of times we are unable as men, a lot of us, to sort of confide, or at least just, use another man as a sounding board. And I feel like I've, been down that road, and I feel like I've figured it out intellectually to some extent. And, just having somebody to talk about those things can be helpful. But, men, and especially, EBT, as much as he gets made fun of for certain things, he's certainly, seems to be, manly and masculine, right? Overall. And it seems like men, when faced with, any sort of trials and tribulations, tend to want to go hide in a hole somewhere and sort of just, suffer in silence and misery. And I'm here to tell you, it don't have to be that way, man. But it doesn't have to be a support group. Now I'm going to go to the AA meeting, although I have. And now there's somewhere in the middle, right? And I'm happy to listen, and I'm good at just listening. As much as I like to pounce all over people's ideas at times, I'm also pretty good at just kind of kicking back and taking it all in to some extent. What's up, Terry Miller? Good to see you. Yeah, size 12 confers good understanding. Oh, man. Well, and then it's also here. Look at these little bitty wrists and tiny wrists, but like big ankles, big feet. It's just bizarre. It's bizarre to be bitten in some ways. Although I will say, anytime I find a woman attractive, at some point I have to check out the ankles, because I certainly wouldn't risk producing offspring with a woman who had a genetic inferiority around ankles. Got to have good ankles. Very important. Very important. Oh, I don't have it. It's gone, and I'm an old man. So you know how? Well, you may not know, but I don't even want to get graphic. I got an old man butt, and I'm having this. I had to bring this today because I'm on a hard chair, and I forgot to bring a cushion yesterday. Yeah, I'm not used to this, man. Historically, I've had a backside. It's gone. It's a wrap. Yeah, cankles. Yeah, watch out for the cankles. Oh God, good gracious! What a disaster. Oh, I thought I was reading comments. What happened here? Yeah, definitely a good dude. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Well, and this is what I wanted to say the other day about, because we got on the subject of me no longer having a butt, is I've had an experience when I was really into the weightlifting, and that involved a lot of squats, right? And there was a time when I was working the lounge at the Outback, and a gal came in, and I was taking a table's order, and she grabbed and squeezed my ass as she walked by. And I said, hey, I charge $10 for that. Because, I was so into my ego, and, I had to have a cocky and funny response prepared, right? I had one chambered just in case something like that was to occur. Yeah, I'm a reptilian. Yeah, reptilian confirmed. Oh, was she really? You are bullshit. Are you serious? This woman's obsessed at this point. If she was American, if she was in America, I think she would serve me on some level. The fact that she's still thinking about this, that's some level of, there's something there, man. She's drawn to me in some way, right? And then we get into the dark triad of personality traits, right? Oh, host is back. I think she likes that dark triad, if y'all know what that is. That's hilarious, man. We're going to have to go see that. Y'all are going to, hey, people giving me donos, at a certain point, I'm going to have to start paying people for time codes. It's like, yeah, email me a time code and I'll send you some crypto or something. It's like, what the fuck? Not that I have any, by the way. Yeah, she likes those big hands and feet. That's hilarious. Bentonius, what's up, Look Within? Coming by Tishomingo. Yeah, are you in Tishomingo? That's in Mississippi, I'm pretty sure. That's funny. I believe it is anyway. Tishomingo. Yeah, somebody said they were near Tunica, or Tupelo. That might be. Bear with me. I got to start taking notes. I think I'm just going to have to start writing everything down. I couldn't even remember. Somebody Obscenity was emailing me. I didn't even know it was him. I had to go back and read through my old emails to figure out who in the hell he was. Like, what the fuck? That's hilarious, dude. She's I won't say obsessed, because that's a worn out, fucked out term. I'll say she's seems to be preoccupied with yours truly to some extent. Shout out to size 12s. Oh, and my dad trolled me one time, dude. Listen to this shit. Old Pops trolled me one time because he's got the size 13s, and if anybody's is aware the difference between a 12 and a 13 is way bigger than the difference between an 11 and a 12, right? So he was trying to give me a pair of shoes he didn't want one time. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, oh, you can't wear a 13? I was like, is he putting me in my place here? I'm like, and meanwhile, he's way bigger than me. Like, he's a lot bigger guy than I am. It's like, no, I can't wear 13s. What's wrong with you? I can wear an 11 and a half sometimes. Although my foot has widened as I've gotten older. Oh, if y'all noticed that too, man, I'm convinced that what they call a wide now used to be just an M, just a normal width. I have to buy a wide sometimes. I never had to buy a wide shoe. And Nikes don't fit me at all. I won't even wear a pair of Nikes. They don't fit me whatsoever. Anyway, enough about my feet. Yeah, let's not think about Benton's feet. It's not a pretty picture. Yeah, those sexy chicken legs. No, I don't know. Anyway, let's not get into that, but thank you. It's better to be accused of being a reptilian than an amphibian. Amphibians are wishy-washy. That's right. Well, and then again, like I talked about, if we're familiar with the so-called dark triad personality traits, I think reptilian might be that could be a way to refer to a person with those traits. And thank God I don't have any personality disorders, although she certainly does, in my view. As did the gal we just watched on that financial audit. Yeah, 12 wide. Look at you, baby. I bet you're over 6 feet though. See, I'm like a big normal. I'm like a normal size guy who's like bigger than the other normal size. It's bizarre in some ways. It's just a strange experience being bitten sometimes. But I've mentioned that like 4 times now. But shout out to Tyrannicide, by the way. Yep, and GRP is going to let Truther Cop know about my swooning and fawning over his recent broadcast. Yeah, and already exactly. Well, but then I think part of this is my dad is 6'2" and the smallest of 4 boys, and his brothers are not just bigger than him; they're a lot bigger than him. He's got a brother that's a judge who right now is the size of an NFL offensive lineman. Not an NFL lineman from the 60s. I'm talking about he's literally the size of an offensive lineman and wears like a size 15 shoe. Like I come from like these gigantic people. And it's like, I got a sister taller than me, like with broader shoulders. Why am I this size? I don't know. Bizarre. Yep. 6'1", baby. How big an old boy are you? Musical is a secret. If y'all remember that old, there used to be some radio bits about a guy saying he was going to, anyway, I won't even get into it. Reptilian brain is real. I don't know about shape-shifting humanoids, but who knows? This world is stranger than we think. Indeed, sir. I'm a fan of the David Icke shape-shifting reptilian talk on some level, so I think there's something to it. I'm not willing to just call it literally true necessarily, but I think there's something there, even if we don't fully understand it. Oh yeah, these are gigantic people, and my dad has his oldest brothers are twins, and they've one of them's passed, and the other one's now in a nursing home with dementia. But we had a family picture because my famous grandfather, would do like a family reunion get together every year that he paid for at this country club in my hometown. And there's a picture I'm in as like, I don't know, I'm like 12, and both my dad's brothers are in the back row standing side by side. Each one of them has like the broadest shoulders you've ever seen. And of course they're wearing, we had to dress up in our Sunday best. They're wearing sport jackets, which kind of enhances, the effect. But I wish I had that picture, man. It's just nuts. I'm looking at this like, it's like, how can a human being be this large? It's just crazy. And both of them complete head cases, total head cases. They should have both played in the NBA, like without a question, but they never could get their minds right. And nobody could tell them nothing. And imagine, twin brothers that are the biggest, strongest, fastest, meanest guys in the entire town. Like that was my dad's brothers. Like he's 18 years younger than them though. So in a way, psychology would say that's actually an only child. He grew up, his siblings were so much older than him. But yeah, imagine that. That was my dad's. So when I went on, when me and Drew had that thing, when he, when Drew aborted the live stream, our last morning show together, when I started, arguably spurging, that was part of it, man. I'm like, dude, my people could just smash out all these people y'all are trying to say are my daddy, right? Like, what are you even talking about? Like, this is crazy. Anyway, enough about my stupid ass family. But see, the thing is, I realized at a certain point, whatever's in them is in me. It's just, there's a part of me that they'll never understand I'm not 6'5" and stronger and faster than everybody. Like, the part of my spirit actually believes that, even though it's not the reality. And I can't even pick up my own body weight off the ground anymore. Not with dog food bags, anyway. I can do it. I could probably pick up 100. I could probably deadlift 120 with a barbell. I know I can, actually. Oh, you had some of David Icke's books? Yeah, he's got some good books. I haven't really read any of them, but and I must not be living right. My tinnitus is kicking up, or some people say tinnitus, but it's tinnitus, which I don't normally suffer from, but I do get the ringing in the ears at times. I'm not your daddy, I'm your grandpa. There you go. Well, there you go, John Wayne. Indeed. Shout out to David Icke. Oh, God. The old gallbladder's not having a good time. I've increased the dosage of egg yolks today, so perhaps the old gallbladder's not feeling it. Anyway, I feel pretty good overall, I have to say. Yeah, Nephilim. All right. Oh yeah, let's do this Kim Before the Storm over at OTW. Yeah, I forgot. Let's do that. I want to see this. Where is this? Yeah. Where is Kim? I'm just going to fast forward to wherever Kim shows up. Oh. We were damn near there.
Before
Awesome.
the storm. Welcome to the stream, sir.
Morning.
Grand Rising. I believe you and Paul
just came
having
up. Yeah, it just came up to let everyone know what a bitch Paul is, and that after he called me out to fight, and I took his.
Oh, by the way, talking about a low center of gravity real quick. This is hilarious. Back when I still had a butt, I'm actually 6'2" from the waist up. I've got short legs. Yeah. So when I still had some weight on me, if me and my dad were sitting down side by side, we're the same height. It's just I've got short legs. So yeah, I'm actually 6'2" from the waist up. So I think probably I was supposed to be tall, and I did not eat. I did not put proper nutrition in my body as a young person. Probably caused it. Dude, he looks like a big dude, man. He really does. Kim looks like a big mofo who is ready to fucking rock and, tear the fucking room apart. He really comes across that way. And I won't say that I have fear of a type of person like that. It's more of like, in the physical realm, I view those type of people as not to avoid interacting with them, but to, sort of give them their space. And, you know what I mean? Like, there's certainly, we've talked about violence being the universal language, right? Yeah, 6'2" from the waist up. That's right.
Offer up, said throw down 5, 10K, whatever you want. Let's do this. Let me know where you're at. He ended up timing me out in the chat like a little bitch child that he is.
Who was this? He wanting to fight somebody? He's not talking about me, is he? Because I'm not trying to fight nobody, even for $10,000.
5, 10K, whatever you want. Let's do this. Let me know where you're at. He ended up timing me out in the chat like a little bitch child that he is.
Oh, is he talking about Paul? You've got to be talking about Paul.
Well, I believe Paul said that you didn't have the balls to come up, so I guess now it's his turn. Paul, I believe if you want to come up here and say your or speak your mind, the link is in chat. I can put it down again if you want. There we go. Drop the link. While we're waiting, I guess I'll just Well, there we go.
I mean, look, I'll
was
say
pretty
this because we already.
AOTW, why does any
Yeah,
of this
here we go. We
matter?
know Paul's just going to come up with
Why
his
do we
looking,
care about
yelling.
what came before
not
the storm, an online old ugly loser?
Oh, why
with
do
no
we
life
care?
in?
Let's lose. Let's
Why do
talk
we
shit
care?
and then
You're
back out of it, and then
physically,
time the dude
spiritually,
out in the
mentally,
chat so he
ugly
can't
man.
say anything because I'm a
You're
big fat pussy that doesn't give up my
ugly
location.
man.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Why
I
do we
love
care
I'm a
what
big
you
fat
think?
gorilla that can't fight but
Why do
talk
we care
shit,
what
won't
you
give up his
think?
location, can't do anything
Why
but
do we
talk
care
on the
what you
internet.
think? Are
And
you
then when
angry
somebody
now
calls
this
him out and
morning?
says, yeah, let's
Old,
do this
ugly,
shit, put
growth
some cash
core,
down. My old
angry
ass will mop the
online
floor up
dweeb.
with your little pink.
So, as someone who was on the internet in early 1994 and was reading news groups, I'm talking about like even before I found IRC, I was talking to people through Usenet news groups, right? And one of the early themes was how your more jock types, if they do discover the internet and end up on the internet back then, they don't seem to, and it does become Revenge of the Nerds, by the way, if anybody's familiar with that movie, because the nerd is so at home in that text arena, and then the jock always wants to bring it back to the physical. See, but we're not in the physical realm in this space, right? We're not. So, and I understand Kim wanting to bring it there. However, the fact that he either is not able to see this dynamic or doesn't care, like perhaps he does understand the dynamic and just doesn't care and it's just not concerned with it. But it really, and at the risk of speaking for Carl, I think Carl would tell you it's a bad look on the internet in the context of, the old days of the computer nerds more or less being the only people on the internet, and history professors and maybe authors and more intellectual or pseudo-intellectual types. It's a bad look. It really is. It's a bad look.
Gorilla
Are you angry
make you
this
look like a
morning?
smear on the map,
You're not
and then you want to
angry
time me
eating,
out
watching
like a
Slave?
big fucking pussy that you are.
Okay,
All
you just
talk,
keep talking.
you ain't
You
never,
ain't
you
gonna
can't
come
even
do
get up,
nothing.
brush
Hold
your
on.
teeth,
Can
and
we
you talk
see
about how
you?
you're gonna
Can
throw
we
some
see
fucking
you?
fist.
Can we see
No,
you?
you can't see me. I don't need to.
Well, and sorry to pause again, but part of this, to go into psycho, at the risk of going into psychobabble and a psychoanalysis of Kim does seem to be experiencing some level of frustration because it seems like in the past he was able to get out some of his aggressions with fisticuffs, especially in the penitentiary, where even if I went to the penitentiary and I choose not to fight out here in the in the free world, I would have no choice. I would have to have a fist fight at it's almost unavoidable. Because I can't live in a world where people are punking me. So, and most likely I would lose the fight. I mean, there's a pretty good chance, especially like I am now, right? But, I'm sure I would win some, lose some back when I was, still had my muscles and stuff. But, it seems to me like Kim no longer has this outlet for his aggression. And, my read of the way Kim is becoming and I become forceful this way too, right? But I never got out my aggressions through harming people physically. But, I think part of Kim's frustration is he's allowed this to build up based on him no longer being able to rumble with people, right? And now here he is attempting to rumble on the metaverse. Paul is so much better at this than him. Like this is like how Kim could most likely, if he can really do what he says he did in the pen, right? So in the physical, most likely Paul, I'm just guessing, he might not have much of a chance. You really don't know until it happens. And apparently Paul is a large man also, but let's just say Kim can do what he says he can do. Well, I promise you, Kim has 0% chance of winning this interaction, although never wrestle a pig, you both get muddy and the pig likes it, and Kim would be the pig in this scenario. Like he's getting something out of it, right? He has to be. Just like when I spurg out, and become that way to some extent. But as y'all may have noticed, it's become less and less over time. Meanwhile, I started out, Kim's introduction into some of these spaces was him coming on my channel and me and him getting into this style of spurging, right? But meanwhile, fast forward, he's still doing it, and even if I let it come out here and there, I'm not giving into it anymore. So I am improving in some ways.
Yeah, because you're scared.
Oh yeah, I'm
Because you're
scared.
Look
Give me your
in the eyes,
location.
punk pussy.
Drop
Look
your
me in the eyes.
location.
Well, he is scared. He's just not scared of Paul in the physical. But I think he is experiencing fear. I can't be certain of that, but it seems possible.
While you tell me
5
what
or
you're gonna do to me.
10K.
Look me in the
It's
eyes
a
while you tell me
phone.
what you're gonna do to me.
Okay, stand up. You stand up and I'll cam up. You stand up, I cam up. That's how it works, big pink gorilla.
I'm standing over you.
Stand
Don't
up, I
worry about
cam up.
standing up now.
You stand up,
Come
I
on,
cam
camera,
up.
look
Because
me
you're
in the eyes,
scared. Because you're
punk
scared to
asshole,
stand
ugly
up.
bitch.
Like a little pink gorilla.
I
You're
thought
scared to
so.
stand up.
I
Show that
thought
big fat
so.
fucking
Where's the volume?
belly.
We'll see you
Show it.
later.
Let's
Poor
go, buddy.
angry
Go ahead,
rocker
time me out
hater.
again, you fucking
Leave my
coward.
line. We'll see
You
you
fucking
later.
all talk
Hey, you wanna
coward.
turn his mic
All
down to show how
talk
powerless he
coward.
is, LTW?
Let's do it.
Give him
Where's
a-
your
give him a piece
location?
of how
What fucking
powerless he is,
put
if
a
you can.
dollar down. I'll fucking mock you up for a dollar.
Like
I don't
give
even
a
need to
fuck
break
about
your
beating
fucking
your
broke
bitch
ass.
Like
Put
I'd
5K
waste 3
down. Put
seconds of
10K
my life
down.
beating
Put
your bitch
50K
ass.
down, bitch. What the
Go
fuck do you want
get
to
a
lose?
life. You're poor and broke
What do
online
you
every
want to
day. You got
lose?
no life. You stand
What
for
do
nothing.
you
You
want to
argue with everybody
lose?
in chat.
I'm
You're about
calling
60
you
years
out
old.
on your
Get a
bluff.
fucking life,
What do
loser.
you want to lose?
Every
You're a
day with
big
these punk
fucking
ass
bluff.
hating cowards who just
All you
yap
do is
online and never
talk,
do nothing.
talk.
But
I
you
never
won't
seen
look
you
me
do
in the
nothing.
face right now because you know we're
Stand
gonna see
up.
how scared you are. Why won't
Okay,
you come
I'm
on
scared.
camera?
Scared. Okay,
Why won't
stand
you
up,
come
fat
on
boy.
camera so we can watch you
Stand
shake
up,
and
you
pretend to
fucking
be lit?
loser.
Come on
Stand up,
camera
I
and
camera.
shake. Come on camera and shake and show us how tough you are on the internet. You punk ass bitch.
You want big?
Damn.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Where you at, bitch?
Yeah, there's Ken
Good
before
morning.
the storm. There he is.
Good
He looks like
morning.
he's ready to die. You look like you're ready to die.
Yeah,
He
okay.
doesn't look
That's
good.
okay.
I have to say
It
that.
should be
You're
easy
gonna
for
fuck with
you.
me. You look like
It
you're ready
should
to
be
die.
easy.
Now Paul's a younger man, but Paul, his face looks better. Paul, Kim looking a little rough, and here I am. So who am I to talk? But
For you. I got 15.
he
20
doesn't
years
look
on
like a
you.
man at
I
peace.
adore
I want you.
You
I
are
want you to get a
all
fucking
talk.
life and a career. That's what I
You
want. I
just
want you
called
to
me
get a
out
life
in the
and a
chat,
career
and now you're
stand for
backing up on me
something.
like a bitch. You just called me out in the chat to come see you and fight,
Yeah,
and you're
come
backing up
see
like
me
a
and hate on
bitch.
me in real life. That means
You're
I'm gonna
backing
take
up
you
like
out
a
of the
bitch
beat.
that you
What are
are.
you talking
I
about?
am real. I will come
Shut
all the
up,
way to you. I don't
online.
even
Come
need to go
do
to
it.
Texas. Give me
Shut
your
up,
location.
I'm not
I
going to
live on
Texas.
wheels. I will be there in a
So
few
why don't you
days.
come channel to make a living?
Shut the
I'm not
fuck up
doing
and quit
it.
being a
I'm
fucking
not
coward.
doing it. I'm
You
not
are a
giving you a way to
coward.
make a living
A
off me
pussy
online
ass
by fighting you.
coward.
Just come do it. Just stop
Where are
yapping
you?
on the chat
Where
box
are you?
and come do it.
Where are you, fucking coward?
I'm gonna give my address online, you fucking
DM
moron.
me. DM me.
You're
Tell me
probably
the
an
state.
agent scum
Say the
because you told
state.
me
I'll
2
head
weeks
that
ago
way.
you wanted to
Say
meet
the
me
state.
somewhere so
Just
you could
say the
hang with
fucking
me.
state. I'll head
You're
that way.
probably
You
an
can
agent
DM me a
scum
location.
trying to get me riled up, so I'll give you my location.
Name a location then. Name a location,
What
fat
do I
boy.
name a location for? What do I
Name
have
a
to
location
prove
I'll
to you?
meet you
I don't
at.
care about you.
Name a
I
fucking
think you're
location
a
I will meet you at. That's not.
Well, isn't this a less entertaining version of Tommy's cross streets? Although Tommy does typically tend to be able to communicate in an entertaining fashion. My synapses are burnt. What's up, Linda Curtis? Good to see you. I'm just not even. My nerves are shot. I can't even listen to this anymore, to be honest with you. And like yesterday when I was on Paul's panel, I was planning on leaving anyway. I was typing to Paul in the private chat, but then I might have hung out a couple of minutes and then left. As soon as I heard Snafu's voice, I just clicked the button and got the fuck out of there. Like, increasingly, I'm just not interested in any of this. Yeah, Pink Gorilla mad. Oh, man. Shout out to Mr. Unslave, by the way. Yeah, shout out to Tommy's Cross Streets. Well, and since I haven't, I don't think me and Tommy are on bad terms, but I was in Colorado because that is typically when I go on a road trip. At some point, I will end up in Colorado purchasing recreational cannabis. Although I got to say, compared to years past, I was not that impressed. Now I did make the mistake of vaping a bunch of distillate, but just out of convenience and just the oil. Even with I had enough money to buy an oil pen. It's just after a while, I just don't even want to deal with it. It's too fucking messy. Like first world problems, right? And the flower is just I don't want my car smelling like weed, man. Like I'm not like Paul, but I'm historically was smoked. I've been a big blunt smoker. Well, I could roll a blunt. Just put it to you that way. I can break a cigarillo on the seam, dump the guts out, and fucking roll it up. Not that that's any great accomplishment, but I'm practiced at it. But I can't roll a backwoods, or from the actual leaf. However, and I can't even really hand roll a decent joint. Never could. But I might have preferred to just smoke the flower and eat some Rick Simpson oil. But the vapes are just too convenient, I have to say. But if one is in an actual domicile, I think dabs are the way to go personally. But I'm not trying to get involved with torches and fucking nails and all that like in the car, you know. And then the car heats up, and then now all the fucking oil's running all over the carpet and shit. Like we don't need that, do we? Thanks, brother. Good to see you, Dominic. Indeed, my path is progress, sir. As long as I get to work towards something every day, whether that's just working on my own, you know, whatever the fuck I'm afflicted with. Yep. Well, and you know, I think on some level what we're witnessing here, it does tie in with, you know, what I talked about on my morning walk this morning was, you know, going to the assertive, aggressive, masculine, dominant form. And then they're just like two rams butting horns at a certain point. It's like, you know. And again, I've engaged in this behavior. So I'm obviously not any better in some ways, but, you know, I mean, come on. Oh, good. Yeah, Terry Miller practiced with the joints. I actually just did a rolling machine back in the day. It was one of those, you know, handheld, you know, hand-operated rolling machines, but never was a big joint guy overall, but I do, and since I don't smoke cigarettes, I guess, you know, the tobacco paper does arguably add something to the experience, right, of blunt smoking. So I might go, I've been studying up more on these alt cannabinoids, and since I'm not going back to work, I'm thinking about buying some of this THCA flower, which is legal in Missouri and Oklahoma, but they banned it in Arkansas. And it turns out when I first started buying rec up in Washington State, you know, I'd go across for $5 when I was in Portland. I could get an all-day pass, and I would ride up to the dispensaries, the rec dispensaries in Vancouver, Washington, because it's considerably less expensive than Oregon. Although Oregon debatably has a better product overall, but I noticed when I looked at the chemical analysis in Washington State that it said THCA, and I was like, the first time I went up there, I was like, am I even going to get high? And it turns out that the THCA is the acid form, right? And then your body directly converts it into delta 9 THC. So I can just, you know, I can't buy any of that now legally in Arkansas, although I could, you know, as recently as July, the end of July, but I can cruise across the bridge into Oklahoma just a short distance, and I can get THCA flower and roll some blunts. I'll probably do that. I disagree, Look Within. I disagree, sir. But I thank you for the warning, because he says stay away from that THCO. It was found it produces toxic vapors when it heats to 700 degrees. Well, actually, that's any acetate, and it's actually 500F. It's any acetate. Well, number one, I'm dying of various illnesses, so I'm not that concerned. Number two, and I'm not picking on you, Look Within. This is what we call poor mouthing in the South. I take on a certain tone of voice. My indignation is with the ideas. It's not with you personally, although I know it can feel that way. But, you know, I think the people who did end up in the 2018 popcorn lung outbreak, yeah, people did have their lungs damaged and some died. But the reality is these people continued to consume the products even after they had to have known they were damaging themselves. So I recently ingested a bunch of THCO vapes. But I was aware of what you're saying, and I was paying close attention to make sure I wasn't experiencing any ill effects. But I'm glad you put that out there, because people need to know that there is an inherent risk involved in vaping THCO, and I'm glad you put that out there. That's very important that's very important for people to understand. It just happens to be my favorite. You know, alternate cannabinoid, so-called. And now that I know I'm not going back to truck driving, I'm free to smoke. Although I'm not going to do that during the day. I'm not going to be stoned for the broadcasts anymore, because I did some stoned broadcasts, and it got very strange. It got so strange that Jessica Jane was coming up on the panel. And the only other time she's come, the only other time I've really had interacted with her other than in the live chat was when me and Drew were doing the Sunday show, and I was on the Rick Simpson oil. Real heavy back then when I was detoxing from alcohol. So Yeah. So later today, I've stocked up on vapes. So later today, I'm going to hit the vape. But I might cruise over to Oklahoma. And I got to put a camera on these. I like, if I'm going edibles, I'm going actual real cannabis, like meaning Delta 9. That's just me. Some people love, I know a Wizard likes the alternate cannabinoid gummies. And obviously with the THCO, that would completely avoid the potential for harming in the lungs. But I'm not into I don't like the alternate cannabinoid gummies or edibles. I like, if I'm going to do edibles, I'm just most likely going to go to a Rick Simpson oil or some people may not know that FICO, full extract cannabis oil, is also, it's the same thing. It's just, it may have been the cannabis, the flower may have been extracted using a different process. But yeah, low temp. The thing with the THCO is that I'm sure that that's true. So I'm sure that what Look Within said is absolutely true. And again, if I sound like I'm picking on him, I'm not. My thing is, I'm just choosing to trust that the disposable vapes I'm buying are not going to heat it to that temperature. Now, if the ones I have, you can double click it and it'll do a preheat. Well, if I double clicked it and I did the maximum preheat and then I just held the button down and took a blinker rip, yeah, I probably could fuck my lungs up. But I've never, and I like to take big hits. I take slow big hits, but I've never even come close to a blinker, meaning that the vape starts blinking because it's actually shut itself off, right, as a protection. I've done that with, just regular Delta 9 vapes. I could hit a blinker every time if I want to with that style of vape, right? Long lung it or whatever. But so I'm being cautious with the THCO, but I'm glad you said that, and especially some people just don't know, right? But apparently anything that's an acetate is subject to, it breaks down to a poisonous gas, right? Which I'm probably, honestly, let's be real, I'm probably inhaling some amount of poison gas, right? But realistically, where I'm at in my health journey, it's not going to matter. But for somebody who's perfectly healthy and, is planning to live 60 more years, yeah, please avoid it, I would say. It's never done anything to me, Dominic. I've never had a problem with smoking weed as far as the mouth. You're absolutely right, Look Within. But that's mostly, in response to the 2018 popcorn lung outbreak, which, by the way, was a lot of those products are Chinese products, and they were cut with vitamin E, which is an acetate. So that was the problem. So the fact that THCO is acetate, that's the issue. But I have had no problem vaping, and it's great vaped. I don't recommend it to anybody, but I love it. It's awesome. Yeah. And I will say, I never could find an accurate chemical analysis, certificate of analysis for the vapes I have, but it has to have a lot of Delta 8 in it too, because if you have pure THCO, it takes like 20 to 30 minutes to hit you, and the ones I have hit right away, but then here comes the long legs, and Delta 8 doesn't last worth a damn. So I like the long leg effect. And if I smoke a THCO vape all day, because that's how I smoke, I'm either all off or all on, it just knocks me out by the end of the night. And I've never, ever since I've developed, a lot of experience with cannabis, I've never smoked anything that would just knock me the fuck. It puts me to bed. Now, when I didn't have a lot of experience, a heavy indica could do that, the couch lock or whatever. But, and in fact, I can eat a lot of edibles and not necessarily get knocked the fuck out. So the fact that the THCO can put me down, and on some level, when I say I like to get effed up, what I'm saying is I like to get to that point where eventually it's just going to put me down, right? Yeah. And let's face the reality that if I was, a person who's truly concerned with their health, I have to think they would only smoke joints, right? They would not be doing anything else, or edibles. But assuming one is going to inhale, people would not be hitting vapes. People would not be doing all of these dabs and such. Although I might be wrong. I'm just speculating, right? So on some level, Well, and it's a risk versus reward assessment. Look within the. For me personally, the effects are so pronounced, and there I like it better than regular Delta 9, just regular smoked Delta 9. Now, here's the thing: is what I have is most likely Delta 8 THCO with a little bit of Delta 9 THCO. You can get. It's not legal. The Fed said it. The Fed said it's absolutely Schedule 1, but I can get on the market. I can get Delta 9 THCO like 95%. I couldn't even imagine what that would do to a person. I mean, I haven't even stepped up to that level. The stuff I have, realistically, it's most likely no more than 15% THCO, Delta 8 THCO with maybe 2 to 3% Delta 9 THCO. And then the rest of it is going to be, just some smattering of the shorter, the ones that hit you quick and don't last long, right? Yeah. Well, and, realistically speaking, that's the only reason any of this alternate stuff, has evolved to where it has is because of prohibition, right? That's the only reason. And cannabis is still prohibited in my state, lest we forget. Yeah, we have medical here, but cannabis is still prohibited. Now, the reality is because, but now that they've banned all the Delta 8, see, so like a month ago, if I actually had purchased some THCA flower, that was technically legal in the state of Arkansas. Well, now, so the cops knew. So what you started seeing was even in a very backwards culture like Arkansas, the cops started really saying, I'm not worried about weed, because they knew that they really, realistically, they don't have proper means for prosecuting somebody, because they're not going to be sending all these samples to the lab to confirm actually what is the substance, right? They're just not going to do that. But now, the only thing that's actually legal in the state of Arkansas is what is available at a medical dispensary. And remember, folks, and I hope Ginger Ridge is still here. Are you still here, Ginger Ridge? I was still voting. I hadn't turned my back on voting when Arkansas finally passed medical. Well, I read the bill. Actually, it was a state constitutional amendment. I read it and voted against it. You know why? No provision for growing at home. None. You have to go to the state to get it, or a state licensed facility in order for it to be legal in the state of Arkansas. And as soon as I saw that, I said, absolutely not. I don't like this law. And I learned that from people like, the Oregonians, right? They're the type who might be for a certain thing, but then they say, well, yeah, I don't like the legislation. And then, so the more I investigated the legislation, I was like, no, this isn't right. I should at least be able to grow a couple of plants, under the corporate system if we're going to make this thing available for medical, right? And, imagine putting, and by the way, this is one of the poorest states in the country. So, if we're now saying, okay, the state of Arkansas now believes that cannabis has medical value, and then so many people live rurally on their own property and could easily grow a few plants. The fact that in order to comply with the actual laws, or the laws that we believe are laws, right, the person is forced into, number one, paying money for a medical card. Well, guess what? I'm not a patient. I don't smoke. Now, do I get some medical side effects? Of course I do. I don't smoke for medical. I've never been interested in me personally getting a card. I've never been interested. And in fact, Oklahoma has really cheap prices, and it's all medical, right? And I could get a card in Arkansas with my Arkansas ID, and I can pay it's like $100, and then I can give probably 50 actually, and then I can give $100 to Oklahoma, and they'll let me go to their dispensaries, right, where I can get an ounce. And I'm not picky. I can get an ounce of flour if I know where to. $60. There's dispensaries all over Oklahoma, right? And it'll be some Reggie, but today's Reggie is pretty fucking good, because I grew up on, not grew up, but when I started smoking weed, it was all Mexican brick weed, and then every once in a while, some we called it kind bud back then, right? But I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down, GR. Yeah. And I'm fascinated by these topics. I love talking about everything cannabis. It's very interesting to me. There you go. Yeah, save them up. Well, I stocked up on these vapes. Paul looks like he's riding a roller coaster. He kind of does, don't he? Yeah, yeah, man. And I think the farm bill is bullshit. I think all of it's bullshit. And I hate to give credit to Canada, and I'm not Canadian, so maybe a Canadian might tell you that they don't like the way it was implemented. But if anybody's not aware, Canada went from prohibited more or less across the board, but decriminalized, right? And maybe nationwide decriminalization, but decriminalized in Vancouver and certain areas, right? And again, I'm no expert, but they went from that straight to nationwide regulation. They call this nationalization. So if y'all have ever been to a state like I think Pennsylvania, there's several states where the only way to legally purchase alcohol is through the state, right? Same thing in Canada. The only way to legally purchase, now they may have an actual medical program. I don't know. I'm just talking about for the common person who just wants to go buy some pot. It's a national system. They've nationalized it. And I think America, and now obviously it's being done for specific reasons, but if America was being operated properly, which certainly it's not, I think that would have been the way to go. And when Arkansas passed medical, I said, look, it's so late in the game. Why didn't they just skip medical and go straight to rec? Because we all know they're going to have rec eventually. It's just Arkansans like to think of themselves as so prudish, and not even prudish, as so conservative and moral, as if it's somehow immoral to get a buzz, right? But eventually, they will, in 10 years or so, they will accept rec. Missouri, though, and I believe Virginia were both smart enough to say, hey, let's just go straight to rec. Why not? It makes way more sense to me. Oh, dude, I've smoked. There's no telling how much paraquat I put in my body. Bro, I've had brickweed that was compressed so thoroughly that I bought a quarter one time, and it was like the size of a silver dollar. It was nuts, dude, and you just had to like chisel off a piece. It was crazy. Yeah. Still got me high, but the trick to that stuff is one has to be very patient and pick out every fucking stem and seed. And as long as you get all the fucking trash out, we called it trash. As long as you get all the trash out of there, it's actually not terrible for back then anyway. But all those sticks and stems all the trash is what would really make you give a headache and coughing and shit. If you get all that out, it's actually not too bad. Dow says edibles, exactly. Edibles are way more psychoactive. And the THCO goes so hard, I don't need to eat it. Yeah, edibles break down in your liver. Meanwhile, I do have organ problems, although my liver's solid. Edibles break down in your liver to 11-hydroxy-THC, totally different bioavailability. And, based on the Rick Simpson oil I've bought in Colorado historically, I shot up to Missouri, because I'm not that far from Missouri, Neosho, Missouri. And I paid $55 plus tax for a syringe, they say it's a gram, but it's actually 1,000 milliliters, I guess. 1,000 milliliters of FICO. Man, that stuff went hard. Dude, I ate. So, like, after I took my road trip, I still had, like, almost half of it left. Dude, I ate the whole half at once. I was out of commission for 2 days. I was more or less in the bed I'm not even bullshitting. I have a high fucking tolerance for edibles. It got to where I couldn't stand up except to go to the bathroom. And I'm not exaggerating. It took like a day and a half to 2 days for that shit to wear off. Oh yeah. Have you tried, well, I suspect that the Delta, if you got actual real flour, if you got actual real edibles made from actual just regular Delta 9 flour, I suspect you'd be okay. But I mean, yeah, some people ain't made for edibles, that's for sure. Indeed, sir, indeed. That's right, Tribe. And I've gotten visuals off of edibles before. When I was barefoot with the hippies out in Oregon for a summer, somebody just gave me a pound of trim, like with little popcorn buds in it. I picked out like an ounce of popcorn buds. The rest of it was shake, right? So I made my own butter out of coconut oil, and I'm not that good at making edibles and stuff. That was the first time I had done it, and so I had it in the glass jar that the coconut oil came in, and I was just eating it with a spoon. Disgusting, by the way. Oh my God! But eventually, I ate so much eventually that I started getting like actual visuals. It was a trip. And then my buddy, that was one of my friends. He was from Oklahoma, but we met out there in Oregon, and he knew how. Somebody taught him how to make hard candy. Although sometimes he wasn't that good at, he had to, the process, he had to whip it up at a certain point. Sometimes it came out kind of chewy, but he gave me a bunch of that. Dude, I was high all day, every day on that candy. I could barely talk. It was so awesome. Oh, I loved it. There's something about that I just love. And I've never really been that big into alcohol, but there's something about that, getting to that state of just obliteration. It's just like where you're there, and it's just so hard on the body, alcohol being anyway. Yeah, marijuana beer. Hell yeah, dude. You put Musical's a Secret made 5 cases of marijuana beer with a pound of weed. Wow. That's impressive, sir. Well done. I don't believe in microdosing mushrooms. For me, I don't believe in that. But if it helps other people, more power to them. I believe in it's hard to even say what I believe in. Weed wine is the holy grail. Yeah, and I unfortunately, I'm just not able to. Well, I shouldn't even say unfortunately. It's any amount of alcohol is poison, I've come to discover. But feel free to disagree. But that's my knowing at this point. But I don't agree. I do not agree, sir. I do not agree. But you've probably had more experience with both substances. Edibles are pretty similar to shrooms in high doses. That's not been my experience, but I guess we're all different in that regard, right? Not everything affects everybody in the same way, but I don't want to watch this OTW, but we're going to have to watch something because I'm getting a little loopy here. I'm beginning to exceed what I'm able to put out in some regard. Okay, let's close that. All right, give me a minute. We'll find something interesting. Oh, man. Is this right? 23 in the house? Shout out to 23. If y'all would help me remember to check in on Paul's broadcast. I'm hoping he goes live early today so I can wrap this up, right? And thank y'all for being here, and I enjoy it, but I really need to move on to something else. If only to sort of mind my own affairs, right? But it's something of a hassle to pack up all this equipment and bring it into the library. So, I'm not in any hurry to go, certainly. As you'll see, it's quite an undertaking, setting all this up in my addled state, if that's the proper term. Not drug-addled, just addled. Okay, good, Dow. Yeah, thanks for keeping an eye on that. 'Cause yesterday I forgot, and I can't say for sure, but I suspect it's possible that he, since I'd a lot of times show him the courtesy of wrapping up when he goes live, now it's possible he just had some shit to do, but he actually started after his scheduled time and without pushing it back, so I think maybe he was, paying it forward, but I just got so lost in my own sauce, I forgot to go check, or I would have already wrapped. We were doing basically nothing by the end of the broadcast, right? Yeah, portable studio, indeed. Indeed, Musical's a Secret. Well, that's why I pretty much have to have a car, because even if I go back to homelessness, dude, all my computer equipment fills my backpack, and there's no room for anything else. Huh. Wow. Musical's a secret. Do you enjoy music more under the influence of alcohol? I don't know. Oh, he says probably. It was a long time ago. He doesn't drink anymore. Yeah. Yeah, portable studio, sir. But anyway, nobody's coming up, which actually I have no problem with. That's it's an ebb and a flow. And let's see where OTW's at in the live. That was some number that was behind. Oh, not like I predicted. Nachiketu's now on there.
You try to beat him.
So today, this is not the Paul and Slade pre-show. Today it's OTW, but he should have his turn. I'm giving him a thumbs up here. He's got 72 in the house, by the way. Shout out to OTW. Well done, sir.
Your love and care as much as
I
possible.
must say. Let's go live with OTW. If I can remember which buttons to click. I in no way subscribe to me having 20 and him having 72 is somehow, it's not taking away from me. I believe there's plenty to go around. Okay.
To stop it, you try to get away or you just deal with it.
Bro, Durban
no
Poison. I love those land race
Yeah,
strands.
again, it's a world that they are not
Fantastic.
used to, that they don't live in. They've got access to it the last 3 years and still don't get what it's about. And then, like they're saying down there, Kem of the Storm wants to talk about doing what I've never done. What do you mean? Go into a court system and represent yourself? You're an idiot, right? I present who and what I am. If anything, I don't represent myself and talk about pro se and all the rest of it. Oh, you're Mr. So-and-so. You're here pro se. I don't know what any of that means. Are you trying to talk Latin to me? You'll be lucky if we can get some English here that we can all be concise with and understand. You want to start talking all this other shit? No, I'm not going to get into that. They step right up. Yes, I'm Cam and I'm pro se. I'm representing myself and I'm doing what Paulie Boy hasn't. Yeah, embarrass yourself. The courts are all on record with me going, we really don't want to deal with this motherfucker. Keep him for last and don't let the slaves hear him. That's my walk. They say, clear the court. Paulie Boy's coming in. I go, that's right. That's right. A fat slave is here who's been deemed king by God.
They take me out of the courtroom and move me to another courtroom where there's no one in it. Oh, we're in the wrong venue. Let's go over
so
here.
I already know I've won. That's what Sun Tzu says. Win without fighting, right? By the time we're already in there, you're all scared. I already know I've won because they cleared the court out to not let the slaves hear what they know is going to come out of my mouth. That's on record a dozen or more fucking times already. So you better clear them out. You better clear them out when I speak that truth. That's going to set us free. Okay? So I'm not you. I don't have your walk. I don't stay tied up 6, 8, 10 months, a year, years. I just do what I'm going to do. And I get results or I don't. And so far, here I am still talking. Like they said yesterday, why haven't they come get you yet? Why the last time they arrested you, they didn't keep you when you got a bunch of war rants? You go ask them. I don't know, and I don't care to know. All I know is what I'm going to do and not do. You got to go ask them why they wouldn't treat me like they treat the rest of you slaves yet.
Well, and this is where I am, and not from, I was this way before I ever, encountered Paul, and I think I taught myself to do this when I was homeless, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and they're going to do what they're going to do, and then we're going to take it from there. Like I've been doing that for a while now. Hey, I've been to Gilroy. Yeah, shout out to the Gilroy Garlic Fest. Yeah, the first time I went to San Francisco, actually, I had no desire to drive through L.A. and Southern California, so I actually went up to, I believe I went up to Bakersfield, and then I think I went up to 5, I guess. I'd have to look at the map, but I think I cut over through Gilroy to get to the Bay. I think I might have I went to Santa Cruz first, but, same general area, right? So I ended up passing through Gilroy.
I don't know. That's the fun part of this. Don't you get it? That's what makes
kind
it
of a
so
cool
powerful
town.
And amazing and fun is you don't know. No one knows why. I know why. I think I know why. We're going to find out, too, because it's a long game. I ain't going nowhere and they ain't going nowhere. And the more I keep talking, the more they're going to have issues. And the more I keep going out and about and living my life, the more they say, why you let
Shout out the
them?
Tribe, by the way.
So we'll find out. See, all the
They don't wanna
slaves
make a
here
martyr
want
out of
me
ya.
to go to prison like them. They want me to get picked up on war rants. and all the rest of it.
War
Hell.
rants.
But since they won't do it yet, and they haven't done it, they can't figure out why, and it pisses them off. Why is Paulie Boy special? They do it in everything.
You're too much trouble than it's worth for them. Probably that's why.
It's because I'm a man, and I do what I want, and I won't do what they say, and there's nowhere to go with it. That's why I'm not them.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And I got a mouthpiece.
Ooh, I love
got heart, and I
jalapenos.
can think on my feet. So when you ask me something, I'm
Love
gonna answer.
jalapenos.
I might ask you something back that you can answer without incriminating yourself. They don't do that. They can't do that. When they get into court, they shake and go stiff. They look for another man to talk for them. They talk as if they don't believe what they're saying. I get right on the microphone like this. Excuse me. I cut the administrator off one day. He couldn't believe it. He looked up. He goes, "Who? What?" I said, "Yeah, it's me." Because they had a microphone at the thing.
I love that.
They call Paulie Boy, come on up, and they don't know who's going to come up. That was in the beginning, before they got a record of me. All right, so I'm at the thing. The administrator's shuffling papers, talking bullshit. I said, "Excuse me. You invited me here at 9:15. It's 9:30 now. I got another 10 minutes in me. I'm leaving." "What do you mean?" "Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm going out my day." "Okay, you're next. Go ahead. We're going to get right to it. What can we do for you?" You know, the energy changes sometimes. Sometimes they go, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" Now you got to play it differently. "Oh, who do I think I am? I think I'm the guy you're here to serve. You want to have a conversation about this?" Right? You don't do that. You don't get like that. You go stiff and shake. And then you start having flashes of what's going to happen to you. Because you don't stand for a motherfucking thing. And you want to talk big game online about going to war with me in a ring for 10K. But when the time comes to go to war for something true and what's right, you're going to freeze up and go stiff. And you're going to look for other men to do it for you. That's why I don't respect you.
Oh, why don't I just dox myself? Now? Oh, why don't we just do that? Well, now everybody knows what my Visa card ends in, right?
Yeah, respect is a hard thing for me.
When boomers discover the internet.
Times you guys have
I
heard
guess it
me
doesn't
go
even
on
matter
about
at this
this,
point,
right?
does it?
Not at all.
What a doofus.
I'm not gonna play games with anybody. I ain't played, like I said, the foster homes. I ain't played games since.
Well, there ain't too much in there to
Yeah, I've
steal.
had fun in my life.
Yet.
But when it comes to relationships, I know exactly the kind of relationship I want.
I'll be your friend,
And
Keith.
And they're very rare.
I'll try it. I'm you know, there's a part of me that's kind of curious. It's like, oh yeah, he's I'll be
Whatever their belief is about how you're going to rule my life.
And they
I'd
turn
love
around
to
and
hear
call-
it.
Yeah, and they turn around and call the police and report that they have a sovereign citizen so they can try to rule your life.
Thanks, Benton, for the super chat, man.
Yes, awesome.
Can you thank me for doing the good broadcast that got you paid, please?
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. No,
Thanks,
thank
Paulie
you.
boy.
You're welcome. Anytime. I'd love to be here daily.
Hey,
screaming
Paul,
and yelling
don't we
at
get
Beta
some
Boys.
credit? Wizard and I, we don't get any credit.
You
either?
guys
Get ready to read
it
it.
says, hold on a second. It says great broadcast down there, okay?
Yes.
It doesn't say Wizard and Nacho Keto. It says great broadcast, and of course.
And it says shout out to chat and panelists. So it's giving
Yeah,
credit to all of
he's
us.
trying to be polite, is what that is. Benton's a very polite guy. What he means is, thank you, God of all media, for finally making this listenable. And also, guys, in the chat and panel.
See, I'm gonna say this in such a polite way, Paul, but when like, you know, I know I would enjoy having you as a friend because I really wouldn't need any enemies. You know, like it's like okay, Paul.
Maybe we should just all watch
I used
this.
to get myself in so much trouble.
I mean, we are
And then
watching
We'd
it.
have to have a conversation, right? Because I like gambling. You know, I'm a cosmic gambler. I don't gamble like O'Shea. I gamble with life. So I'm at the party with guys who can kick my ass, and I just start making jokes and just start fucking with everyone. And then we have to have a conversation. Hey, fellas, listen. You know, we really don't
See, this is what I hoped would happen. Other people are now joining in.
You know,
I like when I can create an avalanche effect, snowball effect.
I'm like, oh well, Paulie is kind of big, and it's gonna take. all
Y'all try
four
not
of
to
us
steal
get
my
something done,
debit
you know,
card
so
information,
let's
please.
just go have a drink. You know, let's let it go. Oh yeah, it's, you know. when I
Realistically, I mean, what can you really do with the last four? But I don't know.
I really am an asshole.
What a
right?
doofus.
I have something in me that
What a
just
boomer.
wants action, right? And I know better. You know, I know better, and I want to do better, but it just can't help but to love the action at times.
Here we go. We have another contribution. Another
Fuck
$10.
yeah.
The super sticker from Manel.
You
Thank
son
you,
of a
Manel.
bitch. I'm
It's
getting
10
50% of
pounds.
that.
It's
First
10
of all,
pounds.
YouTube's
more.
getting 30% of that, and I'm taking 50%. So we know money by the time we're done here.
I think we have a running bill, don't we, Paul?
Yeah. How much do you owe me now for doing broadcast?
Yeah, bit non-bit. We got a bit non-bit going on here. If anybody ever wondered what a bit non-bit is, this is it.
On his platform and him getting contributions. It's got to be done, man. These guys can't start thinking they're as good as the god of all media. It's destructive to them. All right.
That's how you turn them into indentured servants.
They start thinking they're Jack Talcott and they're going to save the world and be a famous broadcaster. I go, did I do this? Did I start this? Being next to him. You know, I don't want
You're trying to buy him out. You're going to buy OTW out.
This is fucking fun. We got Ken before the storm now is paying.
Hell yeah, dude. $2.
Yeah, bro. Listen, I already told
$2.
you the world I come from.
Buy a
When I
Honda
went
one
and,
day.
bro, when I went and bought a Maxima cash, I thought I was doing something from the world that I come.
I paid $4,500 for a
So
Versa,
if I could do a
and I'm
broadcasting,
feeling
let's
pretty good
learn
about
a lot
myself.
At some point, teach everybody how to travel.
Cash is
free.
king,
See,
baby.
You forgot that point, right? You forget the point that even.
How do I
I'm
sound
not
compared to the
going to go
broadcast?
and
What's
spend a
what's
whole
my?
bunch on a BMW
Well,
or
I'll
a
just
Mercedes.
I'll figure that out for
Honda
myself. One
car,
moment.
Paul.
That's the point. He doesn't get it. I'm gonna buy a good car that's
Be
gonna
the change
last,
you wanna
and
see
I'm
in the
gonna
world,
show
right?
you how to travel freely with it and use it as marketing. I'm gonna monetize your enslavement again, right? You don't get it. It's just a marketing promotional piece. It's not meant to prove I'm a man. With it, I'm gonna prove I'm a man, though, with the paperwork and the administrative process, you dummy. And I'm gonna run more of my own busyness with it. And
Well, see,
and expound upon it. Don't you get it?
And that's one of the things that
then
they
he
don't
might
get.
sign a contract with Honda.
And I'm gonna take the extra fiat that he'd have spent to get a shitty car that's gonna break down every 8 months. I'm gonna take like 10% of that, and I'm gonna put a big wrap on the side of it. And it's gonna say, "Suck my dick in public, Paul's your daddy," and it's gonna have all your little pictures on the side too. They're gonna say, "Who are all those people? Those are my haters. I'm using them to promote." Now, Ken's little ugly, disgusting, wrinkled up, white face, right, looking like Voldemort. He's disgusting.
It would be even better. It would be even better if ran on water. You convert it so it runs on water, Paul.
Oh,
so
you
you're
really
doing
want him
two
to kill
things.
me, huh? This guy's got a hydrogen car that he doesn't have registered. They're really going to do the hit on me at that point. They'll find me with fentanyl sprinkled on me like George Floyd.
And a lot of people won't get it still, like Kim. Rather than being able to administrate yourself, people like him are going to keep continuing to go to courts to let them administrate them. And that's the part they don't get.
I'm doing what you haven't done yet, Paul and Wizard. Shut up. I got an F-150.
Yeah.
Shut up. I got my license registered, insured, and plated F-150.
Yeah, I got me
the
a
state of owns. Yeah, the state of owns it and regulates it, but I got an F-150. What a dumb slave. I can't wait till I get that Honda. I'm going to take that $3,000 Max. I'm going to wreck it in the side of your F-150. I swear. The first fucking Voldemort-looking slave that I see that went his whole life into debt to buy a big truck and carry nothing with it, I'm wrecking the damn Maxima right into the side of it. I'm going to go, oh, sorry, I accidentally, I didn't see you there. How much? Ooh, that looks bad. How much is that going to cost you to fix that side panel?
Oh my, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I just totaled the Maxima. It's $2,000. Your side panel there is going to cost you about 20 grand. So I don't know how you're gonna get that done. I got no income revenue. I got no insurance. I'm basically an illegal migrant out here. I don't know where you're gonna take it from or what you're gonna get, but
Yeah, those
good
trucks were
luck.
awesome back in the day. The
Man,
Mazda
we're mad. We
B220s.
can't believe the system didn't
Hell yeah,
protect
dude.
our property again. How are you letting him get away with this? I just wrote.
Yeah, those used to be badass.
3 illegal migrants in the backseat.
Especially the old school style, not the Ford Ranger. Although those were good too. But I like the one before that, which wasn't as good of a truck overall, but
as soon as I bring up the
it was a
R word,
badass
the whole
truck.
system collapses, and I laugh at you.
There you go. You got it all figured out. You got to get one of each race, you know, an Asian, a black, and a Hispanic in there, just to make sure you covered all the, all the angles.
I just packed the car with so many different colors of people and run right in the side of you. By the time it's all over, you're owing me money.
How about fitting
That's
a
right.
Canadian in the back in the trunk, at least, just to make it even more interesting.
I put Provo child in the back seat and then say I have the LGBTQ community with me. They really shut down for that. I go, man, you see my boy here dressed up like a pack of Skittles? You ever see that zebra gum? The rainbow zebra gum? He's dressed like that. With the rainbow lines? That gum that loses flavor in like 2 minutes? Yeah, he's LGBTQ, Provo child. And they just no fault right away. You guys ain't homophobic, are you? And racist. Yeah, that's the move. 2 illegal migrants and gay Provo child in the back seat. They're definitely going to let me go for that. And they're going to be mad at me. Oh, see, Paulie's a sovereign citizen. He didn't have to do like the rest of us. I go, that's your system. Couple illegal migrants, couple homosexuals in back. They just let me go. They said it's all good.
See,
that's what you support.
Provo Kid now is saying you're absolutely hilarious, Paul. So funny, dude. See, well,
if Paul was from Arkansas, I found the kind of car he would buy, in my opinion. Watch this.
You don't think he's doing the thing
I gotta pause
where he
though.
says I'm funny, but
I gotta pause. Oh, I guess I don't. I guess I could just, let's do this. Let's see if this will work. Never mind. Hang on. This is what I think Paul would buy if he was from Arkansas. When you think about that, EBT, how about you? 87 Olds Cutlass 442, baby. They love this type of whip in Little Rock, Arkansas. You see stuff like this on whatever the biggest wheel they're making these days are. Anyway. Well, and you know what I've talked about before? I've said that I don't like pickup trucks. That's actually not true. I like actual pickup trucks, meaning no extended cab, none of that fucking bullshit, a proper size bed, and just a cab. Like for a pickup. I've always liked those, especially Dodges. I think a Dodge, we can talk about if it's a good pickup or not, but a Dodge with just a fucking regular cab. Benton's a fan. So I do like pickups, just only certain ones, actually.
But is saying I'm really not. He wouldn't do that, right? Like be passive aggressive and sarcastic and angrily typing like a woman.
No way. Bro, okay.
I got one for E here. Check this out.
You should invite him up so we can see how.
Although I don't
funny
know if
he
E
is,
likes
how
Fords or not.
interesting, informative, entertaining, and funny. She's a very funny broadcaster.
I've dropped the link a couple of times for him, seeming he doesn't realize that right, like 2 comments under his comment is the link. So that was like a kind of a hint. Click the link.
Yeah, they're upset now. There's another hater. We got about how many down there? Hey, can you start timing out all the haters and tell them?
Yeah, I can still hear Paul. This is how it's supposed to work.
Let me list them.
Good
Okay,
deal.
We got Cam before the storm. We have I am the Tao. We also have polycentric. We have
That's
Provo
Mitchell.
Kid.
That's Mitchell with his latest account, right? We know that.
Okay, Provo Kid, and then let me see who else is. So far, we have 4. You're sure guaranteed. Leaked in cement, kind of. And let me see. I'm not too sure.
Tyson, that's 5. because I look like a human thumb. He said that 5
All
times now. I
flexing.
look
He
like
has
a thumb.
Tyson's another one. 5.
That's
Okay, I agree.
hilarious, right?
That's
Funny,
crazy.
but he won't come
5
up. None of
people,
them will
man,
come
already.
up because they know immediately we're all going to realize they're loser failures.
Any
And I'm
thoughts on
trapping
the
people, so
93
they'll just
Corrado?
It's
E, if you're
easy.
still
They
here.
won't come up.
Kim's trying to say
I
I'm
love those
supporting.
cars, man.
I'm supporting.
I mean, not like to
supporting.
own them. I just think they're cool as fuck. I always have.
Can you start?
There's a lot of
timing
American
out,
cars from that era
all
that I
5 of those
like.
people at once to really just get them going and triggered and then silent. They get all angry and triggered and then have to sit there silent and then they wait the 5 minutes to come back and start pounding
Now,
the keys.
let's see if E can remember what. If I was going to buy American from that era, what would I buy? See if he can remember what I would buy if I was going to buy an American car from that era. For,
Got Jimmy Shively as a
you
mod
know,
so far. I don't see any other mods. Hold on, let me see.
not a pimp car though, like somewhat
He's
performance
culted out,
oriented.
like they say. He's one of the cult.
See if E can get this.
Please, for safety.
I think
Jimmy
he can.
Shively, if you're in the house, please take care of the request by the almighty Unslavius.
Right, and now look what they're doing, like they always do. They're so predictable. Oh my god!
He might not like the
he's
quiz
supposed to
though.
be for
Feel free to
he's
not take the
supporting
quiz, by the way.
censorship. How many times are we going to do this? You're on YouTube on a chat box and you stand for nothing. Yeah, I'm going to support it to fuck with you. Please time them out now, and then let them wait the 5 minutes to come back and pound the keyboard.
Oh,
to prove
okay.
something
Yeah, I like the looks of that car, and I'm sure it's fun to drive, but I never had a desire to own a Volkswagen. I like the, I kind of flirted with the idea of a Audi A4 or a Volkswagen Passat back in the day. But overall, just avoiding Audi VW altogether is probably the way to go, in my view.
No, time him out. Triggered.
And it's funny when they get triggered like that and they got something to say and they think you're censoring you. The first thing they're going to do, as soon as they're allowed to say something, they're going to start saying it again. So how is that censorship? You're just being blocked from saying it at that time for some.
And then this is not a turbo, but I did always like the Porsche 944s.
However you want to get your
Not this
talents
one
out,
really. This
say
is
what you think you
I don't
need to
really.
say.
This is not
You
this
got a
one,
mouth, but you
just
don't have
generally.
to use it.
I gotta get
Porsche
in there
944.
because they're not. Someone is.
I like a lot of different
Shively's
cars.
not at his
Hold on,
post.
I'm
They're
gonna
not
give. I think I'm gonna give Salted Cedar a mod. Seemingly,
Please
we
do
have
quickly because it's very unsafe in here, and I'm getting more triggered.
Salted
And
Cedar.
and
I think
have
you've just earned yourself a mod.
Oh man, Carl's here now. The official pack of loser incel.
Oh no, No, I'm sorry.
Is here.
Yeah, in the 80s, but I don't count Eagle. I'm not counting as American. It's a Mitsubishi. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. But an actual American, you know, American designed and built car. The Eagle Talon's got Mitsubishi drivetrain.
Only Jimmy Shively. You have one.
But yeah, I had a Talon.
I
I had a 91 Talon.
Salted Cedar.
Anyway,
Really
Fox Body Mustang.
Right.
Fox Body Mustang.
Too many people abuse of the power, and I don't appreciate it. So
They
give
can't
it to
handle
people who actually
power.
deserve it.
OTW. These are very weak, pathetic, lowly people, and the least bit of power corrupts them. They can't handle it. So, even just ability to speak, right? Because they can't govern themselves because they're slaves. Just an ability to speak causes them and everyone problems.
Oh.
We have to even take that privilege and benefit. It's a privilege and benefit here to type.
Now this I would definitely buy, EBT. It wasn't a mistake, but I'll take it back if you don't want it. I did it.
So
It was intentional.
Now that's
Now I would definitely buy one of these, EBT.
You want some attention?
Love
Oh,
that.
you sure?
Love these. Not a fan of the red though, but
Right, OTW?
where are the
You're
pictures?
following.
The
you want
pictures
me to
aren't
show
showing
you
up.
How good I am at following orders.
For some reason, the pictures aren't loading. Bizarre.
Hey, OTW, I got a few more orders to write up. Would you like to fill them for me, please?
Something's
There
wrong.
might
But
be
yeah,
some.
this is not that great of
I
a
mean,
picture.
how
But
many of them do you have?
Has Carl ever come up to talk?
oh, here we go. Oh no, not the Roadster. My bad. The hardtop. This not this car.
Right.
No,
He's too
fuck
scared
that.
to come up and talk. He just makes videos.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Man, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. I mean, I just can't. I think we're past our previous beef now that you gave me a wrench.
I think so.
That's nice, man. You're looking at cars. I like these old school ones you're looking at. Which one are you more leaning towards?
I'm still kind of checking them out, but I did like that first one quite a bit, I must say. Although in the real world, I'm not going to have a 442 cubic inch engine because I'm not trying to purchase that much gasoline. But
Yeah, they're getting rid of gas soon, I think. But if they do, I think you just got to buy your own oil field or something. Make your own gas if that's possible.
well, I mean, I'm sure it is.
Hey, I like this new setup you got here in the library. Honestly,
Me too, man.
Your quality's gone up. I think it's the internet speed that really helps. But
Thank you.
That's nice, man. So what's your day been like, Benton? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been going great. How about yourself?
Oh, fabulous! It's my big day for shows. Fridays I go all out. So
Nice.
I join panels on Fridays now, and I have my own show coming up soon. And I got that going. Probably going to do a 5-hour show.
Hell yeah.
So pretty excited. It's my big content day, and I thought I'd start here. You gotta. I think you're one of the best broadcasters out there, Benton. A little underrated,
Thank you.
in my opinion.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, and I am powered by compliments, but I'm prone to the swelling of the head, so I'm trying to keep it middle of the road. But thank you, sir.
Oh,
Thank
okay,
you.
well, I could bring it down a little bit. What's your beef with CBO? I mean, you guys had the greatest morning show, I thought. I
Thank
thought you
you.
guys had great chemistry. And I kind of wish we could bury any hatchet and get this morning show back up on the ground. Do you think that's possible?
No, unfortunately. And I don't think there's a beef really. I think Drew's the type that once he finally decides he's done with somebody, I'm pretty sure he's done with them. And I'm not done with Drew, but I'm that way as well. I'll get to these. I can just drop. I can finally get to a point where I'm just done with somebody.
I got that in me too. I got ice in my veins.
Exactly.
I can forget about someone like that. Dude, never talk to him again. It's kind of a bad
Yes.
quality,
Yeah.
but I think it's also, it can be good. It can be good.
Do you think that has anything to do with the autism, by the way?
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I've always been like that. I don't know why. I think it's a safety mechanism for me, just to go cold. And then you're seeing it in the youth right now. They call it ghosting, right?
Yes.
So I think, I've been ghosting my whole life, to be honest. I don't know why it started to trend with the Gen Z and whatnot, but I love talking autism. Don't bring that up. It's too early.
Yeah, you pace yourself, Provo kid.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. What about so you I think you could have a co-host if it's not CBO, but you got almost no need for a co-host on the other end of the spectrum too, no pun intended, where like you are capable as a broadcaster of just holding it down. You're one of the few people I've seen who can just maintain an audience just with your intellect alone.
Thank you, brother. And again, that means a lot. And thank you so much. And I will say this: if I don't know if you ever caught me and Drew on D Live. We used to do a Sunday night show on D Live, and at that point, we were both like it was like two people that were both kind of equal as hosts in a way. And then I went through attempting to drink myself to death, and that was the major reason that show failed. And then to Drew's credit, he was, and I am difficult to work with in some regard, but so is he. But he was willing to do the morning show, and then I don't hold a grudge, but the reality is what ended up happening was gonna happen. Like it had been brewing for some time in my opinion. So it is what it is.
It is, but the problem with the morning show is men wake up with when they wake up, that's when their testosterone's the highest too. So it's like putting, two big dogs together right when they're,
correct.
When they're at their peak, so to speak. So it's a difficult. I think that's why morning shows are also lively, engaging sometimes because you get that energy going.
Well, and the Cecil factor, and we're now starting to see if apparently there's some sort of backstory with Cecil where maybe he's not quite at what he was presenting himself as, and maybe you can relate to this, and I'll try not to mention autism, but
go ahead.
When I perceive someone to be, I'm a pseudo-intellectual, but that still has the term intellectual in it. I'm not trying to talk about ideas first thing in the morning with somebody who's not rising to the level of even pseudo-intellectual, and it's just it wasn't working for me, and just wasn't interested.
Yeah, I'm definitely a pseudo intellectual. I kind of gave that up. There was a time in my life where I wanted to learn everything, and I was just hungry, tenacious, right?
Yes,
And I
yes.
was almost in not the same league as the Machine Lies, right? That guy, he yearns to learn, right? But there came to a point where I was just like, what's it all for? Like memorizing all this shit. And then I've worked with people with Alzheimer's and dementia, and then you realize, oh, you can be a great mind and then lose it all in the end. And then what's it for? Like what was memorizing all that shit for? And I kind of stopped like this desire to learn about anything because I just said, fuck it. I'd rather just live my life than keep these these memory logs in my head of what has happened in history, what this person said, what that person said. I kind of gave up being an intellectual, and I think it's been to my detriment to some extent.
Interesting. Well, you're clearly still very thoughtful, I would say. So I think that aspect will always be there. But I understand about this constant need to cram new info into the noggin, at a certain point. For what? For what?
For what exactly? I think it was my autism too, because I get really deep into preferential interest, right? So I'll buy a book and then I'll read that and I'll become obsessed with an intellectual, and then I'll start absorbing all the material, and then I look in the mirror and I say, are these my thoughts now, or am I just hermit crabbing the people I'm reading? And then I started to dislike my own thoughts because I'm like, oh, they're Marshall McLuhan's, or they're Jordan Peterson's, or a little bit of Sam Harris there, or a little bit of Joe Rogan. It doesn't matter, right? I just started to absorb other people's thoughts and ideas, and I wasn't generating any original thoughts or ideas on my own. I was just replicating other people, and I started to dislike that.
Yeah, I get that. I certainly I understand where you're coming from on that. That can be, yes, you said it, indeed. I don't have too much to add there.
Yeah, well, transitioning. So Benton, you took a little bit of a hiatus, and I think that's good for the creative soul. Did you feel like you came back into this sphere charged with new energy and new light, or did the break hurt you? Do you feel like you could have maintained a better audience, grown your channel more, or was your break beneficial?
Well, I was going through some shit, so it was more of it is what it is, man. But thank you. As it seems like as men, and a lot of us, and I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I sort of kind of wall myself off in those times, and then just kind of do it like a wounded animal that's got to go, segregate itself and sort of get back to some state of normality, right?
Yeah, I like that though. It's like Jesus 40 days, 40 nights or whatever. Like you got to seclude yourself, find yourself, and then put yourself back out there.
Well, and for better or for worse, I tend to do that with substances. So I was consuming high amounts of cannabis on a near 24-hour day, 24-hour a day basis for that entire time.
Yeah, I know what that's like, man. I'm a big fan of cannabis, but eventually, yeah, you take so much, and then I don't even, if I smoke weed or I take an edible, my feet don't even leave the ground. And then I'm asking myself, what the fuck is this for? Right. It's not changing my thoughts. It's not really doing anything. Tolerance gets so high.
Yes.
And it just becomes kind of worthless at that point.
Absolutely.
But the ideas and the creativity can come at sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's kind of an escape mechanism. I live with bodily pain. I'm probably like you. I got a few ailments. Nothing I think is terrible, but just nerve problems, back problems. I ruptured a disc. What's called? Yeah, ruptured, or I had some back surgery about 12 years ago.
Herniated disc.
Herniated, yeah. And so my nerves and my body's never been the same. But so that you take the marijuana, it does ease it a little bit with the pain, but at the end of the day, even that is not worth it. And for me, marijuana was appealing because I grew up with the heroin and opioid epidemic. So in my high school, everybody above me was into pills and heroin, and that shit scared the fuck out of me. You see people die, you see people lose their entire life. And for me growing up, I was like, anything but that. So marijuana became very appealing to me as a way to like, well, if I'm going to medicate myself, I'm not going to take not even a Tylenol. I hate that shit.
Me too. Same.
I don't like pills. I don't like, anything like that. So,
Nothing. Yes. Well, the booze, I tried to, I actually attempted to drink myself to death, and that's not an exaggeration. And thankfully, I came out the other end of that, and now I've had no alcohol in over a year, and I figured it out. Like it unlocked something in my brain now that my body can't really, process alcohol properly. So, pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a liver problem. No, kidney. He had something wrong with his kidneys. And he didn't know it for the longest time, but I called him a cat napper. He just all of a sudden would drink a couple beers and then he'd just be passing out. I thought he was like a lightweight, but it's actually something a little bit more serious with his health. But sometimes you don't know, man. You don't know about that stuff. Well, what's this kratom? I've taken kratom for my nerve damage and pain. That actually really helps.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not familiar with it. Are you?
I've used it a lot, and I would never recommend it to anybody. The problem with kratom is that it's not an opiate, but it contains opioids. It has compounds that act on your opioid receptors. And what I found is that I was never able to keep it to a reasonable dose. So if one uses it daily, almost everybody will eventually have some just sky-high dosage. And then the withdrawals are horrible. And I've never even done opiates, but the withdrawal is a nightmare. And fortunately, I was always able to get off of it. But I don't think I would ever even, if I ever took it again, I would never take it 2 days in a row. That seems to be the problem. If somebody just took it and then took a day or two off and then went back to it, I think it would be okay. But as a daily thing, I would never do that again.
Yeah, that sounds tough. Kratom.
And it gets you high. They say it got me high. Certainly, yeah.
What's the high like? What is it, like weed or something?
Euphoria, a lot of euphoria, but there's different kinds. Like there's a green, a red, and a white. So there's it's almost like strains of weed, And I don't know if you know what it is, but it's leaves of a bush that grows in South America, and they harvest the leaves, dry them out, and then grind them up into a powder, typically.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like cocoa.
Well, the locals
or something?
The locals chew the leaves, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yep. More like a small tree, like a large bush, small tree. That's my understanding of it. But then they do extracts. Don't ever touch the extracts. I never tried them, but apparently that's the real nightmare is doing the extracts. So.
Damn, I don't like nightmares one fucking bit. Do you get dreams, Benton? Do you still dream?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the cannabis, I either don't dream or don't remember them when I'm doing cannabis.
Really? I used to have that.
Yeah.
And lately, these past couple months, I don't know if I've toned down my consumption with marijuana. I feel like, I still take a couple pulls a day, so to speak, but I'm getting some vivid dreams, and I started taking melatonin. Yes. I don't know if that has offset the power of marijuana to make you forget your dreams, but
it's not. My problem's not melatonin, but that can be beneficial. I go to sleep between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. and wake up. So my sleep cycle's great. I'm doing good I have no trouble going to sleep ever. My problem is never. I just go right to sleep.
You're like a Mormon.
Man, that's the thing is when I was because I lived outside and lived out of a backpack and slept rough for 6 straight years. And I learned during that time, I love going to bed early. And so in the summer, I tend to stay up more closer to 8 p.m. But in the winter, I'm going to sleep 5:30 some nights. I'm going to bed. Love it. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, especially if you're waking up early, because nothing's better than God's morning, right? Seeing God's creation peek over we have mountains in Utah.
Yeah, I've been there driving the truck. It's beautiful. And I think you said that Utah seems to have the best functioning state, and that's probably true. However, another thing I like from living in the streets is it's even in a city. I was in cities a lot. At a certain hour of the morning, nobody's out and about but homeless people. All the nobody's around other than the homeless people. I love it. It's so great. Go for a walk. I kind of like own the city in a way.
I know exactly what you mean. I love that too. Yeah. We have that here every Sunday in Utah. Not as much now because we're getting a lot of Californians and other people moving here. But like on Sunday, you can go out and drive, and sometimes you're the only car on the road. You go to a movie theater back in the day. You're the only person in the movie theater. It could be like the biggest movie coming out, right? And people are lining up Friday and Saturday. You get tickets on Sunday to an empty theater. I mean, movies are kind of gone now, but I love owning the town, like you said, and just kind of going where you want, doing what you want. It's beautiful.
Awesome, man. And since I have to, on some level, I'm going to make things about me, and I'm going to keep it topical to Utah. And now that you and I are able to speak without me yelling at you, which I do appreciate, and thank you for being here, by the way. But
Absolutely.
Back in a former life, this would have been pre 9/11. Me and another guy traveled from Arkansas to Southern Utah University, and we installed a inventory management system at their college bookstores there.
Wow, SUU Cedar City. That's pretty cool. It's a
Yep.
beautiful place. I thought about moving down there
amazing.
myself.
And I was like in my early 20s, mid 20s. Dude, the more, and I'm just, this is from my perspective. It seemed to me like they were trying to keep me there and convert me to a Mormon because those young women were just amazing. They wrote me a letter after I went back to Arkansas, and these were just gorgeous, wholesome, and I wouldn't ever consider joining, but part of me is like, damn, I wish I could pretend to be a Mormon because these women are amazing.
Yeah, you
Good
should.
Lord.
I encourage everybody. Like, Mormons are the answer to like people who don't know how to find. Because we got singles wards.
Good God.
So if you're single, we got a church just for you, where you can go hang out with single people every Sunday.
Well,
and then eventually find the right one.
And when I was there, they either really liked men or they were pretending to. And I've met female missionaries that they're either really like men or they're doing a damn good job of pretending. And I love that,
Yeah.
Oh my God. And that reminds me that, how things are in most of the rest of the country, right? It's not that way at all. But I'm old enough and grew up in a time warp when I was a young person. Most of the women and the girls liked boys. And it seems like it's almost the opposite now in a lot of cases. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, it's horrible.
It's just like women empowerment and like women trying to like delude themselves into thinking they're, well, maybe not. It's like, I think there's too much adoption of masculine characteristics, traits, and like a de-emphasis on like all the feminine traits, which is fascinating when I think about transgender people. Like when a man goes to a woman, they adopt all the things that I feel like femininity is like, oh, don't sexualize us. Well, the first thing a trans man does is sexualize himself.
Yes.
To make him more appealing to men. They take hormones, they get a chest implant, maybe they transition on the bottom. So it's kind of strange. We're like, why are there, why is this culture we live in kind of devaluing the traditional roles of women and even the aspects of like, finding a relationship with another male normal, this empowerment of like, delay, don't be in a relationship, don't have children, put off all these typical, I think, normal human things, right? And have a career. And I think the end goal is to suck away the prime of your life, right? So if you delay having children, you delay having family, then the chance of you having a larger family decreases. Yes. The chance of you having a child with a disability increases. And then in and of that itself leads a family to becoming smaller if you do have a child that is disabled. And so I think it's kind of a population management thing of psychologically disturbing both men and women in our country. But I could be off on that. I kind of took your question.
No, I like where you took it. Yeah, I like where you took it.
Awesome. This Carl's here. I love Carl. He says, I've been watching too much Pearl and Roma Army. Unfortunately, I haven't watched a minute of either of those content creators, but I guess I think similar to them. I don't know.
Well, I have an advantage where I know almost none of the content creators, so I just don't even have to worry about it. So that's cool.
I'm like a more traditional person. I love Utah. I think Utah is the best state in the country for many reasons. I've been to several other states. We got cleaner streets. We got nicer people. We got better businesses. We got better buildings. We got better roads. Everything in Utah is just better.
Yeah, and I've been to downtown Salt Lake, and there's no city compares based on what you just said. There's nothing even close. And I've been to most of the major cities, and I don't mean as a truck driver. I went on my own to check these places out. There's no other city like that at that level. There's just not.
Yeah, I used to think Utah was like the Japan of America.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Now, real quick though, and Salt Lake does have an underbelly, certainly. However, it's there if one wants to experience that. However, myself, for whatever reason, I do prefer to be in an area that does have a bit of a grit and grime to it also. You know, it's something about that's always appealed to me on some level. I'm not sure why.
I think you're well bred. Ben, when I think of
Thank
you, I
you.
think you're someone who could be put into a room in any demographic in America. So I could put you in a room with wealthy people, poor people, middle-class people. You're going to be able to find yourself in some type of comfortable situation no matter what. I think
Thanks,
you're
brother.
just well bred. Yeah, it's a good thing, I think, for the most part.
Well, man, I had no idea that the shower of compliments was, but it is my birthday tomorrow, so this is my birthday present, Provo Kid. Thank you.
Oh, wow. You know, I'm not really complimenting you too much, Benton. I'm just being real with you. I think it's our autism bond.
That could be, yeah. Well, and then it's hilarious. I'm interested because so many people reject the notion of autism out of hand. And like I've said before, what is autism? In my view, it's a collection of behaviors that are all within the normal range for humans. They've been collected together and given a name.
That's right. They took normal behaviors and they turned them into a diagnosis markers. So like before you were just normal, but then in order to increase the power of, you know, it's not big pharma, big psychology, so to speak. They're tied together. But so in big pharma, they say one bug, one drug, right? But in psychology, you got one behavior and it's normal. If you can turn that normal behavior into like a deviant or maladaptive behavior, then you can treat that behavior. And if you're going to treat that behavior, then you can get someone on insurance. You can get them maybe a prescription for a drug.
Yep.
And so this over diagnosis of normal behaviors is expanded the idea of like, what is autism? What is disability? Where I think 100 years ago, most people were just considered normal. And if they were a little bit quirky, they were just quirky
and accepted on that basis.
Yeah.
And in fact, real quick, this reminds me, I found a book in a public library. I think it was in Austin, and it was this coffee table book of like people's living rooms all throughout history. And there was one from like the 1800s, and they're describing the interior space, and there was like the main fireplace. And then there was a separate, smaller fireplace, and they said that was built for a member of the family who refused to have anything to do with the other members of the family.
Wow.
So it was just accepted that this was an eccentric, strange person. That's how they are. And they were accommodated on that basis.
I love that.
Me
Makes me
too.
think of the Amish. Like the Amish, if
Yeah.
you're a little bit different, you got more energy, they just send you to go build a farm. You can't, or a farm building, whatever. What do they call it? A barn?
Raise the barn. Yeah, go a barn raising. Yeah.
But I love it, man. Carl, 1,000 men won't be able to figure that out. Don't know what that's about.
I don't either. Sometimes I highlight the comments before I read them. So
it's hard to read chat. You got an active chat today.
Yeah,
What's up,
man.
Quantum?
Shout out to the chat, by the way.
Good to see you. I think autism and, all these, eccentric behaviors or different behaviors that people have that have been diagnosed as like autistic it's kind of strange, right? It's, to me, we have a world we're growing up in and we're living in now where everybody needs to be different, right? Everybody needs to stand out, but simultaneously we all say we need to be collective. We need to be one group. And so people are scrambling, especially white people, I feel like, are scrambling to find an escape from being a part of the oppression matrix, which is tied to like, if you're a white male, right, you're a part of systematic racism, and whether it's the judicial, penitentiary, or whatever it is, right? So you have a lot of white guilt, and it's fleeing to these victim groups, right? So if you can be a part of an oppressed, a marginalized group, then you're kind of free from some of that social shame that we're generating in this country.
Yes.
So nobody really wants to be attached to white patriarchy, oppression, or any of the things that the narrative is building. So they clamber to these groups on the outside where they can be a victim. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are I agree with you, but only if we actually select for a certain group of white people, the more highly educated, of some means, right? Thank God I got to grow up in the deep South where I sidestepped a lot of the. I got to sidestep all the white guilt because of how impoverished. I wasn't impoverished, thank God, but most people were, right?
Yeah. What's this?
That's Paul Unslaved, and
Oh, welcome, Paul.
Paul has the keys here, by the way. I think he was just he was being polite and hanging around until I added him because I believe he could add
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
This is
that.
a better
How are you,
broadcast.
Benton? Please don't talk over me,
I'll
Beta
talk how I
Child.
want. I'll talk how I
I'll
want.
put you in the back for a second while I greet
Oh
Benton.
no.
How are you, Benton? It's good to see you, sir.
I'm well.
My beta male hater was interrupting our polite conversation and introductory.
Well, and I will apologize to Provo Kid real quick because something about my brain, I should have been able to foresee this happening, but for some reason I didn't. This was not in the cards from my
Yeah, I don't think
perspective,
anyone could have seen this coming.
Well,
specifically.
I should have been able to foresee this, but I did not. So I hope Provo doesn't feel like he's been set up because he certainly hasn't. And
Oh no, Paul. I know who this guy is. He's fine.
okay, cool. I'm glad. And I'm enjoying the conversation with Provo, and I'm certainly looking forward to future conversations should he choose to participate. So now that I've said my piece, we can go to Royal Rumble, or we can just lightly, go back and forth and pick at each other. Whatever y'all want to do, we can do all of that. Good to see you, Paul, by the way.
You as well, sir. It's good to have you back on the metaverse.
Glad to be here. Happy to be here. And now I have a decent I'm planning on, if you go live before they kick me out of the library, I'm planning on stopping by. But no rush. No rush. He's looking at the clock. Oh, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, the woman of the house, or one of them, has come to check on me to see if I needed anything.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm doing just fine at the moment.
That's great.
I remember those days. It's been quite some time for me in that arena, Paul, though. But
Yeah, like maybe some coffee, something to eat, maybe a blowjob,
Oh,
whatever I
God.
could use.
So
I mean, a lot of
cool.
these metaversal
So
miscreants
cool.
don't have that on here, and they're really angry about that. So
is this the light? Is this the light picking at Provo Kid, or where are we at
no,
here?
what see,
I'm happily
just
married
trying
with
to tell
children.
you, Benton, about my life and lifestyle and how great it is, and somehow you would get the idea that that'd be picking at Provo Child.
Yeah, what's
Why
wrong
would
with
that
what's
be the
wrong? Yeah,
case?
what's wrong with me? Clearly,
Are you saying he doesn't have any of that, and therefore that would upset him? Me just mentioning that and living that way?
No,
I have it in spades,
I'm not
brother.
saying
So
that.
no worries.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I believe you.
I tend to believe Provo.
Thank you.
I tend to believe
Yeah.
Provo in this regard.
I mean,
I'm
every time
actually
he's online. I always see someone come in and check on him in the dark hole that he's in. Oh wait, I've never seen that once.
What do I need checking up on? I'm not a child.
No, it's
I
not
take care of
checking up on.
myself.
It's caring for. When a woman's really into you and she respects
Oh.
you and looks up to you and your guidance and leadership, she's like wanting to serve and please and make sure that everything's good with you. See, they're happy.
How do you know
you're
they're not
online.
already-
You
how
play
do
with
you-
your toys and stay out of the
How do
woman's
you know
way.
they're not already
It's a little
doing
bit of a
that?
different
How do you know?
experience, right?
How do you know they're not already doing that?
I guess I don't. I'd have to
There
take
you
your
go.
word
There
for
you
it.
go. You would.
Yeah,
There you
you're
go.
so honest and authentic too that of course I'd take your
I
word
am,
for
yes,
whatever you
I
would put
am.
forth. Right.
I am.
Clearly.
Are those trophies behind you, Paul? Tell us about your background. What do you got here? You got
Why are you
serious.
scurrying to the background in order to avoid speaking
looks like
to
you
me?
got
Are you that
trophies. I want to
pathetic
know
and
about your.
disempowered?
I'm just wondering about your
What's in the
trophies
background there that we can focus on? Because I definitely can't
curious.
get anywhere talking to
I talked
you.
about Ben's background. It didn't bother him.
Right, they're not my trophies.
Well, I'm just curious. If you're,
I'm just
if you wanted
curious.
to.
You're a very curious person for all the wrong things, apparently. Have
Okay,
you figured
cool.
out how to not be a slave yet? Nope, not curious about that. I want to
A
know what's behind
slave.
Paul Unslaved. Are those
A
trophies?
slave? What are you
Did
talking
he
about?
actually do
You're
something
at
well
work
at
right
one
now.
point?
You're
unlike
slaving
me?
right now.
I
I'm
have
having
a whole
fun.
bunch of trophies
Well,
at
I'm
home,
having
but I don't know
fun.
where
I
they
came
are.
here
They're
to
sitting in a
chill. This is my
storage.
hobby.
I think I
You're at
threw them
work.
out. But
Hey,
yeah,
Paul,
everything
you're
I've
at
ever
work.
done, I've excelled
You
at
are
and been better than
slaving
most
right
other
now.
people
You're
doing.
slaving. You're
Weird,
slaving
huh?
right now. You're slaving right now. You're at
Hey,
work.
why are you yelling over me? Do I have to put you in the back again like
Yeah,
a
put
good
me in the back.
child?
Go ahead. Put me in the back.
Do I have to please control yourself on Benton's broadcast? Don't be disrespectful. Choose love, brother.
All right, brother. All right.
All right. All right, I'd love to sit here and embarrass you more, and that wouldn't be difficult. I mean, you pretty much get that done on your own.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
got to prepare for the broadcast in 15 minutes. And
Fantastic.
Benton, if you wish,
We're
I'd
wrapping.
Like to
That's
see
the
you
hard
over
work.
there.
We're wrapping. I'm
No,
coming
no,
over
Hard
there.
work.
Yep.
Yeah, it's again, I'm not.
No, my free choice.
I
I'm
don't-
freely choosing that.
Right.
Yes,
And that's
sir.
going to upset people. The fact that you're choosing
Yes.
to come over and be part of my broadcast and shut this down. It might not give some people a place to hang out and continue to spray their loser failuritis everywhere.
Loser failure.
That's upsetting to them a lot of times.
Hey, whose
They're like,
house
how
were you in,
dare
Paul?
you defer
Hey,
to that
Paul,
guy and go over there and create
who
with him
bought
when
that house?
we
I don't-
want a
who
space
bought
for us
the
to
house
come
you're
here
in
and
right now? I'm
waste our
curious.
time, energy, attention,
Hey,
and our
are you
day
in
again.
another man's
And you
house right
took
now?
that from us, Ben, and you
Are you
took
in
it from
another
us.
man's house?
All right, I'll see you later.
He is in another man's house. That's crazy. He didn't. His girl didn't buy that house. That's the saddest thing ever. It's like I
Well-
can't imagine if I was the ex-husband watching Paul stream from my previous office space, and I'm like, God damn, can't believe I lost my house in that divorce, and now I got some fucking homeless trailer guy streaming from my office. What the fuck happened to my life?
Well, I don't necessarily share that view, but the way you said that was humorous, so I am smiling, laughing. But and I do want to say, for the record, shout out to Provo Kid, who for a very long time I told him he was not he was not permitted here, and he never would be. And then I tried to get him to come here, and he was like, "Nope, I'm honoring what you said previously." So then I realized that I had been outplayed, I had been outmatched, I had been outmaneuvered. So he's now. I guess I've been sufficiently punished, so I appreciate you coming on. Please come on anytime, brother, and I really
I
mean that.
appreciate it. This is a good conversation. I like Paul.
Yep.
You got good chemistry with him. I don't want to take anything away from you and him. And
Oh, we're good.
Both what you're building. I see the media empire Paul's building. It's great. It's fantastic. He's trying to line up different people to have every hour of the day blocked off so he can go from panel to panel and kind of control,
Sure.
just the narrative. And he almost reminds me of like a low budget Fox News, right? So he's got his morning show, afternoon show, and then he's got his evening show with Jack Talcott. And if he could just get like a late midnight show, Paul and Slade could have a real media empire. It'd be just amazing.
Well, and I'm detecting the sarcasm, but I would like to see that. I must say, I would like to see that. But I will say I'm a fan of your content. I don't necessarily consume it as much as I could, but we are in this deluge of content, it seems like. But when I do tune in, it seems like I find something that I can connect with on some level. And sometimes it's a little abstract for me because it's fully StreamYard. StreamYard just freaks out sometimes, but
well, I know you're about to sign off. And
yes, sir.
Join balls. I'll let you close with your monologue, Benton. Thanks for letting me drop by.
Man, thanks for coming by.
Conversation.
It's been
God
awesome.
bless.
Looking forward to the next one, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Right on. Provo Kid. Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to Provo for a while. I'm glad that happened. Which does, sort of remind us that sometimes patience and separation from the outcome, right? Like not being, the more, if I had really been like, oh, I got to get Provo Kid on the broadcast, most likely I would have behaved in ways that not only would not have brought him here, but could have potentially pushed him away. So in spite of myself, I was able to sort of just patiently, and I'm glad it happened, and it may have never happened at all, right? And then, me, I like that Paul has the keys, but then, I am kind of a Dumbo in some ways. I should have been able to see this, that, Paul may very well show up in the middle of this. But to Paul's credit, he did wait for me to add him to the panel, so I do appreciate that. And presumably he would have hung back if I wanted to, wrap up what I was doing. But we're going to wrap this broadcast, and this has been one of my favorites, and I've enjoyed this thoroughly. And I would encourage Provo Kid only on the basis of him talking about this as his big content day. This is an opinion, merely an opinion, not direct advice. I believe if he paces himself, and it seems like he did rein himself in, and much to his own credit. Shout out to Paul and Slade for cruising by. That was cool. Shout out to the chat. We're now receiving donos, and people are being very generous. So I'm going to, after I'm done on Paul's show, I'm going to cruise down to the Wally World and pick up a Walmart to Walmart. That shout out to Mr. Miyagi. Awesome. Good cop, bad cop. Is that what we're doing? I don't know. Is it? That's part of the, we can call it autism or just undiagnosed autism or just a certain level of density. And rest in peace, Crocco. I guess now that Crocco's gone, I'm the most dense. I used to say, thank God for Crocco, or I'd be the most dense around these parts. But with him gone, maybe I am. But we're wrapping, and get me a short break and maybe eat some food, and then I'll be cruising over to Paul's. So, yeah, this has been great, man. Thanks to everybody for allowing this to happen. You want to know my real name? It's pretty easy to figure out. Now, I did accidentally dox the last 4 of my debit card, so I don't know. I don't know where that's going, but pretty easy to figure that out. Is Destroyer in here? Hey, Destroyer. Hey, man, I hadn't seen you in a while. How you doing, brother? I could not agree more. Yeah, F the G Mint. That's right. And always good to see G Spot. Pretty much everybody. I'm just having a love fest. Tomorrow's my birthday. I unexpectedly received some money from my last trucking company I wasn't expecting. I'm getting donos. I'm being showered with praise by Provo Kid. I got Paul cruising by. I mean, this has been awesome. I may or may not stream tomorrow. It is my birthday, and it is Saturday, and the library opens later. I'll probably be here realistically, but okay, no worries. And on some level, all the comments are directed at me, whether y'all know it or not. Thanks for watching. Go check out it's Pimp Unslaved, right? You think I would know his app by now. Let's promote Paul. Actually, first we're gonna promote Provo Kid. Do not like, what is it? Unlike, I forget. He's got some kind of motto. Don't subscribe and hit the dislike. I think is what he says. But for some reason I typed youtube.com into the search field of YouTube. It's very bizarre. But why would somebody do that? But real quick, Provo Kid channel. I'm subscribed, so it should come up. And let's promote this guy, and then we'll get on out of here. We'll promote Paul's, not that he needs it. But here's Mr. Provo Kid. If we can add to stream here at Provo Kid. He said he's doing like a 5-hour show today. I'm certainly planning to tune into part of that. No live streams. Is this the right channel? It's got to be, right? Is there another channel that I'm unaware of? I don't know what's going on. There was a Provo King, I think, at some point. But anyway, that's where you can find him. His number's creeping on up, and as much as he tells people not to subscribe, he's closing in on 500. Maybe we can help push him up there if we're interested. And then real quick, proper instruction motivates people. But yeah, certainly by my free choice. The reality is, if I ever feel like going live when Paul's live, I will. But, I really haven't felt like doing that to this point. And we're 6 minutes from Paul's broadcast. Let me drop that stream link. This is, dislike and unsubscribe. There you go. Anyway. There's the link, and I will see some of y'all folks over there. Good to see you, Carl. And the chat is lit, but we're shutting it down. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oops, hit the wrong button like a jackass. Like a jackass. We've hit the wrong button. But anyway.